All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scrap Time, episode 3. Here with your co-host and myself co-hosting it is me and Ben Nissim. We are talking about the weekend of Call of Duty that we just experienced. It was weekend 1 of Major 3. Let's get into it, dude. So I hope you guys are excited for this podcast. You guys aren't hyped. Again, we talked about this just before. You're not hyped enough again, so I want some more hype. I know the internet just went down, but I want some more hype in the chat. That's a W intro. It's like I'm made to do this shit. But yeah, here with Ben Nissim right now, we're going to talk about the Call of Duty, weekend. Ben, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Had a fun morning, got some coffee, doing this show. And the weather is so good today. I know it's like February 20-something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually playing golf today.
Oh my, you're golfing after this?
I'm going golfing after this. Yeah.
Okay. What are you going to shoot, Ben? Wait, can we all make a bet on the podcast right now for the YouTube comments? What are you going to shoot? Over, under? What are we doing?
Probably the course I'm playing is pretty wide open. It's probably one of the nicer courses in Columbus. But I think I'm going to shoot high 80s just because I haven't putted or played on like greens. And I actually don't know how much they've been trimmed or how well I'm going to play, but at worst I'll play high 80s.
He's blaming the trim of the greens, dude. That's what we're going to be. He's already making excuses before he's out on the course. That's unbelievable. I'm giving you a 92, Ben. I'm giving you a 92.
Okay. I'll let you know. I'm going to play off the blues probably, Alex. And we're going to try, this course is like spotty cell reception. My friends and I might go IRL stream for a couple holes. We'll see how that goes.
All right, Chad, anyone want to make a bet with me, bro? I bet that he shoots a 92 and above, bro. Anyone believe in Ben? I'll put 50 gifted subs on this if you shoot lower than a 92, but you better not cheat, dude. I'm only doing that if someone matches me, so if anyone wants to freaking get at it with some good old gambling, you let me know. We can gamble on Ben's scores. And we'll go by the trust of Ben on the course. I don't know if we could believe that.
There's other people that can be with me, bro.
Who?
Fike.
Fike's trustworthy.
Brad, we never met, and my friend Matt. I don't know if you're.
All right, I could trust Fike. I could trust Fike. You'll do 5 gifted. Fike. All right, dude. I'll do 5 gifted.
5 gifted if I shoot under 92.
Wait, you want if he goes 92 or over? Okay.
Wait, so I gift you 5. I go 92 or over.
Oh, you're part. If you want to be a part of the bet, you can be. Yeah, you want to do this? I'm down.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, you have to shoot under a 92 then. I'm telling you.
Listen, I played this course a bunch. If I play good, I'll definitely go under 90. It's easy.
All right, let's see. We'll see. I say he gets a 92 or higher.
There's cash money in my chat knows what course I'm playing. Like if it's not one of these California courses that you play.
Yeah, you guys play the easy mode course, yo. East Coast golf is easy mode golf, dude.
Dan Canyon, where you're like 5 feet off the fucking fairway. It's in the desert, like.
Yeah. All right.
But anyway, no. Outside of that, a fun weekend of CDL. I would say the last match had some extracurriculars on Twitter, and we'll get to those later. But I think we're set up nicely with the league right now. I think obviously you guys are defending Major 2 champions. You have some company, I think, in the top 4. There are a couple other top 6 or top 8 teams that got better this week. There are a bunch of teams I think got worse. And unfortunately, I think the teams at the bottom are still at the bottom. And that's kind of how things have settled through 3 match days so far.
Yeah, about right. We've seen a lot of the changes that have happened, obviously, like kind of play out a little bit. I still don't think you can really give a fair assessment yet to a few of them. I think overall, I know we're going to talk about this later in this, but Vegas looks pretty good so far, I'd say. I don't think they look bad. I think they, we're obviously keeping our eye on Too Real, like you were saying, and I think so far they look pretty good. I've been happy with them. Also, we have Florida to talk about. I personally am not hating on Florida right away, if you ask me. I know they didn't look good, but again, we'll get into that all, so on and so forth when we kind of get like towards their matches and stuff. But yeah, no, I think the weekend of CDL was pretty good. It was exciting stuff, and yeah. So kick us off, Ben. What are we starting with, dude? What do you want to do?
So I think, as always with the show, we should start with your team first because
easy enough.
All the hard stuff out of the way. So you guys had 2 matches. You went 1-1. We'll start with the first one against Florida. Obviously, they're just made changes. Basically, made half the roster is gone, and they brought in Tyler Fellow. And you guys kind of 3-0 cruised against him. Like, what was your thoughts of that series coming in, and sort of how you thought you played?
That Florida team, what I was just saying, is better than that. Again, I'm not fully sold on their roster. They have some X factors there, and they have a lot of work to do. I think we played pretty well that day. and they didn't play that well. And I think it was just a tough running for them being a new team and, kind of running into our team, like just doing well. I think a big thing for them that they needed to do against us would obviously probably take that first hard point, and they didn't. And once it became like that, I feel like they kind of put themselves in a hole. So I don't know. I think we played really well that day. I wasn't upset with anything. I still think, even though it's going to sound crazy, I know that was like such a quick 3-0. The control I didn't really care about. I thought it was fine. We played well with it. The searches, our search has been doing good, trying to keep it, obviously maintain the pace that we have and just keep trying to, get better and so on and so forth. The hard point was still not as clean as I'd like it to be. I think the score line was like 250 to like 170 or 180. So like it seemed clean, but if like you watch that from like afar, it's still like there were still some things that we could do better. So we still got to, again, clean it up, and leading into the next match, you obviously know where that goes to with that. But yeah, so I was happy with how we played on Florida. Obviously it was a 3-0. I really couldn't be that upset. But I don't think that was like an example of how bad Florida is. You know what I mean? Like I do think they have it in them to play better than that. So I'm still curious to see how they continue on the next week. Give them like one more week before you really kind of form my opinion on it.
I mean, they had a tough draw. They played you guys first, and then they played New York. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun series. I think first map was, if I remember correctly, was the closest of the three.
Yeah. The only thing, sorry to cut you off. The only thing that was weird about this, and I don't know if this is true, and I'm so like out of like all the inner details of some of this shit just because I choose to be. But I don't think they scrimmed that much before those matches. I'm pretty sure they like took a day off before some of those matches. Which, if that's the case, I feel like that's a little wild. But I don't know if that's true. That would be the only thing that bothers me if like you're a brand new team and you're already taking days off before matches, but I have no idea.
I think they only got like 3 or 4 days of practice, which is just really.
But if
really
you only
tough,
have
like you.
Yeah, sorry, keep going. If you have 3 or 4 days, like, then you take a day off. Like that's now 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean? That's.
Yeah, I didn't hear about the taking a day off.
But I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Yeah.
But let's assume for the sec that it's not. I mean, as you can speak to, like 3 or 4 days of practice going into a series against team that won Major 2, and then the team that won Major 1 is always not going to be enough time. And weirdly enough, in those series, I think they looked the best in Hardpoint, and then it was actually the other game modes, especially Search. They looked a little bit like an under practice team in that game mode, and then obviously they played a Silo Control twice, and well,
so yeah. So what I was going to say is they took a hit in Search and Destroy with the roster change they made. Period. If you lose Major Maniac, I don't care what anyone says. He is an incredible Search and Destroy leader. He's a good Search and Destroy player. I feel like if you lose him on a roster, there's very few people you replace him with that makes them better at Search, no matter what, for the most part. Yeah. So I think that could hurt them, but they definitely didn't look terrible in Hardpoint, like they did. But yeah, with what you said, like they still need, at least another like week and a half of practice to like really start figuring it out. So that's why I'm not like fully on board with like, the Florida hate train that I'm seeing a lot of people like talk about. So, just kind of have to wait and see. But I definitely think they did take a risk losing Mike or Major Maniac. Sorry, I'm going to use tags here. Losing Major Maniac to like go all in on like trying to get better at Respawn. Because that was kind of like what their philosophy, you'd say, like from the outside looking in. They made this roster change so they could start winning Hardpoints because that's what they were obviously selling at. They weren't doing well in Hardpoint. But they also might have hurt their Search game potentially. So that's where it kind of is a little bit like, I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a problem if their Search really falls off though, because their win condition is going to be grinding out these respawns and then clutching up game 5s.
Yeah, I don't think it should hurt them that much, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, like again, it's kind of hard to judge. Like they played you guys on the Silo, and like you guys are nasty on the map.
Mm-hmm.
And they played New York on Hotel, and New York actually went like 3-0 in S&D this weekend. So and New York has been saying they went on our streams, and I think they also said it as well on when they've been doing rank play and stuff, that they didn't really take Search practice as serious enough as they thought during Major 2, which I know probably grinds your gears to hear. And so they've decided now, well, that's not acceptable. We need to work on that. So I think they've started to get better at the game mode. So it's probably just tough for Florida. They had 2 teams coming in, like one that's, not to toot your team's horn too much, but you guys are probably the best Search team in the game, and a team that needs to get better at Search in order to get back to the form they were in during Major 1. So.
Yeah, New York is on a path of like, we just got like a very bad placing for their standards at Major 2. We're about to kick it up to another gear to obviously go to Major 3. So yeah, they definitely got like a more primed New York than they could have too. Like, so yeah, we'll see. I think they're good though. I think they're fine. Give them another week and kind of start forming opinions on like what's kind of going wrong or right for them.
Well, and then well, just to finish out the Atlanta FaZe thing.
Yeah.
So your next series is against LA Thieves. You guys have squared up with them a bunch over the years. You played them obviously in Major 1, Major 1 qualifiers, and you guys beat them game 5. You played them at the Major in the grand finals, and you guys won that one. And then going into this match, they were able to take you guys out 3-1. You guys struggled on the hard points against them. You guys won that silo pretty clean in S&D. Like, we talked to Austin on the flank last night, and he said that he thought that you guys had kind of an off respawn day, and in general, he doesn't feel like your hard point record really matches up to how your team plays in practice in that game mode. Do you agree with his statements based on how you played yesterday and just in general your team's respawn game mode?
Yes, for the most part. I don't want to not call it not like saying he is, but like, there's obviously, as much as you wanted to translate from scrims to matches, right? Like, you have to get that done, right? And I don't think we're fully translating our hard point, specifically our hard point, to our matches. Like, we definitely look a little bit better in scrims in the majority, but a lot of the issues that we sometimes face in matches, and like when I say issues, I use this term very lightly. LA Thieves is a very good hardpoint team. You make 2 or 3 mistakes versus them in a hardpoint, you probably lose. And I've already watched those 2 maps back, or like, with the team and stuff, and you can kind of go straight to the details of like what mistakes were made. And if you do that against a team like that, you're going to lose. And like, it is what it is. Like, I don't think we played like, this piss poor hardpoint game where like we had no chance of winning those maps. I think we blew a lot of holding opportunities that hurt us a lot. And if you blow holding opportunities against LA Thieves and those, when you're supposed to get a full 60 or 40 points and you end up getting nothing or negative points to them, like, that's going to hurt you, right? So I think our respawns right now in practice are definitely better. But with that being said, I do think even in like those scenarios, some of the little things that don't go our way in matches, like when we're, doing it, just have to get fine-tuned a little. And
yeah,
I think once we kind of get that there, I think we'll be in a really good spot. Like, like you can't just win every single hard point you play, but we should have to be at least splitting hard points against top teams. And like, if you don't, it's going to be a very hard win. Obviously, we could have won that control if we stopped that, capped at A, but like, if we would have won that match in a 2-3 fashion where we won 2, 3, and 5, I wouldn't have been that happy, because again, we need to obviously really get our hardpoint game up. I said that even after we won Major 2. Like, it was cool that we won Major 2. I'm happy that we won Major 2. Proud of them, but we need to make sure we get our hardpoints into a better spot so we can play more comfortably. And right now, I think our breaking opportunities are a little and the way we're holding some hills just needs to be changed a little bit. But again, I'm not like super angry where like I've seen us play some hardpoint where like, I've watched and I'm like, yo, what the fuck am I watching? It's not that. It's just like little things. So yeah, we're definitely a little bit better in scrims right now with the respawns, but it's not like far off. So I think we're going to get it down. And again, losing is learning with that. Like losing to that team with LA Thieves and hardpoint specifically, you can see when you mess up like the littlest mistake in a holding opportunity, the littlest mistake in a breaking opportunity.
You're punishing,
yeah, exactly. So it's like that shit doesn't really hurt us at all. I think that helped us a lot. So I think it was a good learning opportunity to keep trying to work towards our respawns to like perfect them more.
Yeah, you guys have a weird dynamic with them in terms of how so far when you play in this season, which is they probably have the advantage in hardpoint, you guys have the advantage in control, and you guys right now have the advantage in search. So if you guys clean out the hard points, you'll have a strong advantage in this series. But if it goes game 5, you guys are in a good position right now on paper. So yeah, I feel you on that because they're 4-0, I think, in the last 4 hard points against you guys. Although Austin said he doesn't count that first Mercado from Major 1 as an L, but
the way I view it is, I mean, I know what he's saying. I know what he's saying. Like, we obviously, if Envoy doesn't get that one crazy 3-piece, we could have won that map by like 100 points. But again, coulda, woulda, shoulda, whatever. But the way I view it right now, it's a long season. There's standards that you have to hold yourself to. Of course, you want to win everything, but you also want to make sure like you're using the season's length to obviously like keep like working on stuff and not like panic and be over dramatic about stuff. And I've talked about that, I think, on this podcast and other places too. But yeah, like right now we're playing like, I would say decent hard point in the sense of putting ourselves in positions to like where we can win the game, and then we're not executing. And that's a much better position for me as like a coach to be in than like constantly like, being in these positions where we have no chance to win, period. So like, yeah, like that first map on Mercado, we played that map pretty well. Envoy made a fucking crazy ass play, tippable out of him, and they won.
Yeah.
And like, that's going to happen. And like, you're going to lose hard points where like, you're sitting there like, yo, we need to re-fucking think everything. This is pathetic. This is not like, this is just terrible hard point. Or there's going to be some times where you lose and you're like, all right, you did what we needed to do. And now we got to not, troll here, here, and here and figure these like little things out. So I think the big picture is there. It's just like the little like minor things or the, micro stuff. But again, live and learn, lose and learn. And I'm not really that upset about it.
I have a couple more questions. So now let's move to the
just get it out of the way. Yeah, just go hit me.
Tactical rab portion of this. So if you want to get more of a breakdown of this, I'm gonna kind of summarize it in 30 seconds, but I'm sure Tactical Rab's put out 17 videos already. But after this series, after Thieves won, DRAZAH went on Twitter, basically kind of interpolated a tweet that Simp had sent back from Kickoff Classic last year where DRAZAH used a one-way smoke and lost. Now it's sort of the callous for Smokes getting DA'd in that game.
Wait, and then the interview was Kickoff Classic of last year. So we're dating back to 2021?
It was last year, right? It was.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. All right. Keep going.
Okay. So there's that. So he insinuated that MC on the Mercado breakoff was using a stairs glitch spot on P2 side, watching sort of that like Cubby Cross bottom street. Austin then, AK Slasher, replied with video evidence that he wasn't because, the crouch thing, yada, yada, yada. Then people on your team decided to, I think, take it probably a step too far with some other statements they made. MC doesn't normally chirp, but he decided to send out a subtweet. Other associated persons with the teams got on Twitter. So just curious your thoughts on all the drama.
It developed even more? Yeah, I saw like the basic stuff. For the most part.
Listen, girlfriends are getting involved.
Wait, really?
Fernando was getting involed. Like it
really?
It turned into a whole thing.
Bro, I haven't been on Twitter in a while. Like again, I have it on my computer, so like, I was obviously talking to the team after the match, so I saw some of the tweets here and there, but like I don't like, watch it develop because once I leave this room, I'm gone, bro. Yeah. But it developed even more, so I haven't seen all of what it developed to, I guess. I saw MC's tweet about like the don't do drugs kids or whatever. I saw that. Yeah, that was funny. But
bro, there's no way MC read that tweet, bro. I refuse to believe that MC.
Wait, why not?
Because listen, I know MC, man. Like
I feel like MC could talk.
Ghostwritten, bro.
You think that was ghostwritten? Listen, I'll tell you one thing. We lost the match. I was there with the team. We were talking about shit. And then like after we were done talking about shit, I had to run out real quick for like 10 minutes. I had to go to the store and pick up something. And I came back. And then when I came back, everyone was like, yo, it's a fucking shitstorm. And I was like, the fuck did I miss? So I don't know if it was ghostwritten, to be honest. I don't think it would have been. No. I don't think
RJ and Nick are claiming that he did write it, so I tipped that because
wait, he wrote it? Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think he would have I don't think he would have that ghostwritten, to be honest with you. Yeah, I feel that was also not a long tweet. It was 4 words.
It was not that long of a tweet, but obviously, if you want to weigh in on all of that, or I'll give you like an alternative question answer.
Yeah, I'll say, what do you want me to weigh in here? Like what I think?
Let me ask it this way, because I think me asking your thoughts on the Twitter for gays is just not worth it. I think at this point, you guys have played them so much in so many finals, and clearly people feel strongly enough about the series they're going on Twitter. Do you think that now you guys versus Thieves is like a real rivalry now in the CDL?
I mean, I think that rivalry is there just because it's 2 good teams. I mean, the only person that really ever talks shit is DRAZAH, no?
Well, Chris started. Chris talked
shit too. I'm saying it's clearly between DRAZAH and our team. That's what I mean, right?
I mean, considering that I don't think anyone else on their team weighed in, DRAZAH did start this one. So, yeah.
That's what I mean.
And he also shoot bodies in the series too. To also. All right,
get the soft shit out of here, bro. Shooting fucking bodies. Who gives a flying fuck? We can shoot Florida's bodies. They can shoot ours. We can shoot. Who cares? That shit is so fucking whack. bro, you shoot some bodies, it's not the end of the fucking world. Like, but with this one, like, from what I get out of what you're telling me, and like from what I've seen, like, DRAZAH won this match. Like, you know, they played well, typical. They, you know, they won. And then he talked shit. And then I think if I'm MC in that scenario, MC's probably tired of everyone just on his fucking dick all the time about everything.
And being
so
a great
he was
player,
probably like, this guy DRAZAH is always on my fucking dick about something, where DRAZAH does the same shit that MC does. And they, again, this entire disclaimer really quick. Everything that goes wrong in the COD community is because this game is shit. Like, we've talked about this a billion times. This game is 2 or 3 updates away from being one of the most competitive games of all time in the sense of a really fun game, really good spawns, really fucking all this. But we have no support. We've been here. I've been doing this shit for 15 years. We got absolutely no fucking support. I don't know if we'll ever have fucking the proper, let me say proper. We have support right now. That's faded. We have support, but the proper support where we're still dealing with the same fucking issues with no red dots, this, that, staircase cheese, this cheese, that cheese, this cheese, sound equalization. That's what I mean, bro. Like, all of this shit is just, again, I feel like we always end up pointing fingers at the players and the players pointing fingers at each other because they're trying to make all this shit balanced. But that argument never ends, ever. Like, again, MC snakes, so does DRAZAH. They all do, like, everyone does it. So it's like, yeah, I'm sure, back to what I was saying. So disclaimer, the game fucking sucks. Please give us more updates for the love of fucking God. But, yeah, I mean, MC was crouching behind a staircase. That is not G8. That is not G8.
No, not G8.
It's not illegal. It is listen, it is a crazy head glitch. I saw the picture. That shit is nuts. But at the same time, like, Ben, if you go to hotel and you stun open the long doors on hotel, Priest is in here, so here's another pro.
Yeah.
When you crouch behind those suitcases, is that G8? Is that G8 though? Because that's the same fucking thing of MC crouching behind a staircase, right?
Or like, I mean, the G8.
I'm asking, like, could you not crouch behind a head glitch? That's my thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's not G8. I'm saying, like, the stair glitch where people, like, when you're wine cut and you fucking play that stupid angle on those stairs facing towards their globe where you can't see the guy's head at all, but they can gun through it. That's G8 because it's just broken geometry.
I'm saying the game is fucking wild, but like, that shit is just not G8. Laying down on it and shit's obviously different. At first, I'm not gonna lie, when I first watched it, like, quickly, I was like, what the fuck, was he laying down there too? Because I was actually like, oh shit, he shouldn't have done that. But then, like, I went back and watched it and he wasn't, so I was like, oh, never mind. But regardless, that shit wasn't G8. And then, yeah, bro, like, as much shit as MC does, I'll say that openly, you know, like, MC's obviously probably one of the most annoying people to play against.
He's a cringe gamer.
Yeah, but so DRAZAH's also up there. First of all, he is one of the other players that match MC's fucking pace with that shit. Like, it maybe not even more sometimes. Like, they go back and forth. Like, everyone does it, but when MC does it, someone's always on his dick about it, and he was probably like, I've had enough of this shit, don't fucking do drugs. And then he went fucking nuts and tweeted that. So, that is what it is.
Listen, my final thought on this is you go read Temp's reply to MC's tweet, because it's a good...
What a Temp tweet? Should I bring it up?
I'm not gonna say, I mean, if you... you can
I'm doing it, I don't give a fuck. What is it, bro?
I just thought, as a lighthearted take, out of all the drama, I thought one of the funnier tweets I ever sent was Donnie's tweet reply to MC.
What did Donnie? Did he delete it? Let's see.
No, it's still there. No, it's still there. I just checked.
What's Donnie's Twitter? It's not coming up. Donnie? Temp?
Just pull MC's tweet and see Donnie.
Oh yeah. I know. It's just so weird. He's like, why is Donnie not coming up for me?
I can link you to the tweet direct if you want.
No, I got it.
I'll put it in chat.
Oh, he said. Hold on. Here. How do I do this? Would I have to go like over here? I think 1 second. Let me just make sure this works. Yeah. Bro, he said Papapi is acceptable. He's saying Papani, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely acceptable. Nothing wrong with that. I don't even think that's drug tested for. Right? I don't think that.
I mean, bro, like, you know. Listen, it's legal in some states that, you know, it is what it is. What's next for your team? I think you guys, you have 2 series next week. I think you play, you think you play Vegas, and I forget who else do you guys play next week.
Vegas and London.
Okay, so you have Vegas and London next week. I'll be in Atlanta. I'm getting my head shaved on Sunday by MC, so that's gonna be pretty funny. But I mean, obviously, you guys have 3 more matches, and let's see if you guys can not go 3-2 for the 89th time in major qualifiers.
But what's wrong with 3-2?
Nothing's wrong with 3-2.
Yeah,
or going 2-3, bro.
Well, 2 and 3 is a little scary because if 2 and 3 don't make the winners, that's different. You make the winners, bro.
I know, but
you're
if
good.
you make winners, that's all the thing that matters, bro. If you get the
Yeah.
first seed or the 8th seed, who cares? Like,
Exactly.
obviously, you want veto advantage, but like, you guys got 6th, right? The last major qualifier. It's 6th seed, I think.
I don't fucking know. Sure, I don't. The
I'm
seeds
pretty
don't
sure
matter,
you did, and you won the event. So like whatever.
Well,
like, just make it a major qualifiers.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, the way I said this before, you just have to make the winners bracket. That's your priority, and then everything else is a learning experience and practice, bro. It is what it is. Why can't players get drug tested? Players do get drug tested. Players get drug tested. I'm not gonna go there. All right, keep going. But fucking
other people have talked about that before. So.
Have they? Oh, okay. I would say I don't know
Yes.
how. I would say players get drug tested. That's just. So if you don't have a prescription and you get drug tested and you fail, you're obviously probably fucked. So therefore, yeah. And none of what's it called? Yeah, none of my players or anything have a prescription, so it's the same shit. But yeah.
Anyway,
they do get drug tested.
Moving on. So I kind of, the way I framed this episode, or the outline I sent you, is I wanted to talk about your team, and then I want to talk about the teams that made changes, because I think those are the ones that people are most interested in. Then we'll talk a lot about everybody else. So I think the team that a lot of people probably want us to talk about first is OpTic, who made a change over this stretch. They benched Illy, and they brought in Dan Gosey from TFL Enterprises or Decimate Gaming after a big win at the Boston Open. Pretty much the whole team broke up because like people went to different teams. Nagafin went to go coach Vegas. So Dan's coming in. He's filling Inder's spot. I've talked to Shotzi a few times, and Ants told me, and I think even Ants talked about on stream, that Dan's coming and basically like kind of IGLing the team almost. He's sort of coming in and being a very strong presence and with their progression and being with their comms. They squared up against Los Angeles Guerrillas. They only had one match this weekend, and it was a pretty mixy series. And at least from my perspective, I think they actually probably should have lost that series in game 4, because LAG just mega trolled the end of a Fortress Hardpoint.
We can bring that up. If
you want to bring that up and break it down. I mean, I tip OpTic because they did ice up the Silo search and they looked really good in it. So they won the game 5. Can't really do much with the other team trolls. But I think there's still some things for OpTic to work on. Their control is still a little bit iffy, 6-11 so far this season. We'll get to that, but I think we can start with breaking down this map 4 because
I'm bringing it up.
I think as a coach, I mean, I don't know if you've watched this play, but I watched it real time. It broke down.
Yeah, let's see. I got it up. Switch over here. Bang. All right, we're good, right? This is good. All right, so
yeah,
you want to watch the end of this? So you're saying you think they should have lost, obviously, right? Because
watch how this plays out. So I show a little bit at the end of this P1 here.
Could I back this up a little bit more? Just
if you want to.
Yeah, hold up. We're at 108.18. Let's go like right here. Okay, let's watch it from here. Do you want sound on? Do we want sound on for these or no?
No, it's up to you.
Probably not, right? Because I feel like the casters.
We usually don't. We really don't watch with sound unless the casters go fucking Hambody.
Yeah,
which by the way they did, which they did in this map, but I think we need to talk over some of the plays that happen here. So, I mean, I'll kick it off. So, like a lot of the way these crazy Fortress things like end, if we get on a P1, P2, is like, can the team that has P2 side hold that spawn trap? Do they get flipped? And then can they hold this from the back on the P2? We've seen teams win it from the front. In this case, LAG are going to actually hold the P2 side. On the end of this P1, not get all the times they get kind of split, and then they get almost insta broken holding the back, and you'll see how that happens.
Yeah, I'm glad we had I'm glad that you got us on an hour earlier today, so we don't have to rush off here. I just like hating on the game every once in a while. Just sorry because we went 95 days without a fucking update, so
yeah.
What is this? So look at these spawns. Ready? Yeah. Now I know why these spawns happen. I'm not saying like you can't predict these. I'm not saying these are random. I'm just saying what the fuck are we looking at here, right? All right, ready? Number 6 dies. Number 3, number 4, number 2 are exactly where they are. Look where number 5 spawns, right, Ben? That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, shitty spawn to be if you're number 5. That makes sense, right? Now I know why number 7 spawns there, and again, I'm not saying like this is unpredictable, but this is what my point of. By the way, I just want to make this clear. I know that this is why this game is an update away from not being shit. Is look at this. Why does number 7 spawn there? No one moved on LAG. Why would one person spawn there and one person spawn there? Now, again, I know,
I'd love to tell you.
I know with like breaking it down, and I know all pro teams, I'm not saying I know and no one else knows. All pro teams know why that guy spawns there. But my point is, or why are we still playing a video game at a professional level, competitive level, with a CDL rank play in a fucking CDL league where we haven't got an update in fucking 90 plus days and all this other shit? Then we got a spawn update. Again, step in the right direction. I was happy about that. But like, why have we not got another spawn update to fine tune this shit? I don't think number 7 spawn is that bad. They're across the map, but LAG spawn after that was really bad. My point is the inconsistency of why number 5 spawns there and number 7 spawns there, but no one moved. I know that number 7 spawn is not that bad. When you're in LAG's position, you're saying that they're either spawning they're spawning gate or they're spawning P2, spawning gate or spawning T2. That's like what they're saying right now. They're like they're manipulating the spawns and keeping it in their head. My point is no one fucking moved. That can't happen simultaneously with number 5 being there and number 7 being there. Why would number 7 not spawn with number 5?
Like every other standard,
like every other fucking standard video game, period. Again, it's just, it's so close to not being shit. Then it is shit. But okay, sorry. I had to get that out of the way. Keep going. Yeah.
Play it out so you can watch into this P1. And I talked to Alec, was in our flank chat too, but especially in this P1 that he felt like they left too much time wide or too much time uncontested. Obviously in this situation, to your point, they didn't read the P2 spawn.
They didn't read that.
No, that's tough.
Well, that's tough. They should have been able to read that. But, okay. Again, that was a readable spawn with this spawn system, but it's just bullshit. Okay,
this
so
gets crazier though. This gets crazier.
Yeah, I know.
So Exceed's finessing around. By the way, Exceed played really good in this series. He's able to open up a space here for number 1 for Assault to make a play, although he does get snaked and gunned. It is what it is. Crouch spam, LOL. Yeah. Obviously, spawns are now flipping because people are dying, and LAG spawn in the back. And you're going to see LAG are actually going to get a clean 4 dead here. Watch how this happens.
Yep.
Then I want you to pause when they go 4 dead and tell me what they should do as a team.
Wait, right now? Or are you saying when they go for, like...
So when they go 4 dead, let me know what you think LAG should do in this situation.
I'm not coaching LAG right now. I mean... Like,
I'll tell you what I think they should.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
So if you go back, we were talking about this on a show. So they get 4 dead.
Go back a little bit.
And ideally, what you want to do is push out, try and buy time.
Yeah, common sense.
That's pretty much like that in every Call of Duty game.
Yeah, of course. You get kills, you push out.
Push out. Yeah. So instead of doing that, or instead of helping the guy in Hill, they ran away. Yeah. They also didn't help Alec. Now, Alec number 4 is watching inner in this situation. Probably should be watching outer. His teammates can just get the inner trade. If he slides in, Alec can just kind of play the corner of the stage, but he doesn't. And he gets like 3 hit outer. And there's no help because everybody's just in art, finessing around. OpTic hits through the front outer, kills Alec. Now they have the Hill holding it from the front. LAG don't have great positions. They try to pinch, go 3 dead, and that's how they lose the map.
Yeah. I mean, that was as simple as LAG just fucking up a holding opportunity with kills. They didn't use their kills at all the right way. And, they could have done, in that scenario, they could have done basically anything but what they did, and they would have won.
Yeah. So, but what they did.
But like, I'll also say one thing though, if we're gonna shit on LAG for a second and see that they fucked that up. I'm sure they know that. They should have read that P2 spawn, by the way, too. If they said they didn't read that P2 spawn, that's a readable spawn. But like, it's a shitty spawn, by the way. It's a shitty spawn, but it's readable. Fucking, I think OpTic played this pretty well. Like, bro, this team clearly, obviously, they LAG should have given themselves more info. They should have pushed out, blah, 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 blah. But if you make the mistake in a holding opportunity versus a very good hardpoint team, which is obviously OpTic, is going to be a good respawn team for the most part. Like, they're a good respawn team. If you let them set up a break, you will lose. It's the same. I mean, we did it versus LA Thieves yesterday. If you let them set up a break, you lose. Like, I mean, bro, they like OpTic. Look at the teamwork at OpTic, though. They triple hit open. Like, Alec has no chance even if he's watching open. Maybe he gets 1 or 2. He could obviously made it easier. But, like, I don't know. I think OpTic showed a lot of composure towards the end to actually do something together. No? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, this has been... Listen...
That was good composure out of OpTic. I feel like you got to tip that, bro. You say they should have lost, and I see why you're saying that. I get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, that's what I mean. Again, like, we should have won map 1 of the major final, but we didn't. You know what I mean? Because little things like you can always should have should have done something. But I do think, again, like I feel like the composure, this right here at the end game at this very moment is who has more composure to make the right play. And LAG did not. And OpTic did. That was literally all it was. Bro, look at how separate OpTic is right now. And look at and then look how together they are. And then look at LAG. Like LAG is all taking one-on-one lanes. Again, no info, no nothing. I mean, we're not going into the nitty-gritty of what I mean, I just can't do that for my own fucking sake. I would love to as much as I could, but I'm not going to. But like, yeah, I think OpTic did a good job of just having more composure and doing that. So I feel like that was just again, good teams don't make that mistake in that moment. That was a clutch moment, and OpTic clutched up. But yeah,
this is MO with OpTic. I mean, in the series they played against you guys online, after they made the change where they iced up in that hotel, Hardpoint map 4, they had a couple of close ones at the major that Hydra that they clutched up, I think, against Boston. Like, this team has shown that they're really icy and make the right decisions at times at the end of some of these maps, especially in Hardpoint. But I think kind of the other thing with OpTic in this series, because again, they also absolutely smoked the map 5, which is typical.
Yeah,
the surprising thing for OpTic that I think it's kind of flown under the radar, at least. I mean, maybe that's my fault that I didn't really catch on to it until this week, is how poor they've been in control actually this year. They were actually the 3rd worst control team in the league with a 6-11 record. Only Vegas Legion, who look definitely improved in the game, we'll get to them later, and London are worse in terms of win percentage. So I'm curious what you think, because they were like the one of, if not the best control team at the middle last year, and then once Inder had the injury, they fell off. And now once again, I know it's a different team, different personnel. Billy's not on the team anymore. Scump's not on the team anymore. They're still struggling with control.
I think control is like, I mean, control is Fugazi mode. No, it's not, man. Control Fortress is a Fugazi mode. The rest of it's not. Bro, I will, again, disclaimer again, the game sucks. The control spawns are ass compared to what they should be. They're not as manipulated. Like, they are not, again, they're not as consistent as they should be. Like, you can, for example, be pushed out of bedroom and control, and they could just spawn under you long when no one's blocking kitchen. It makes no sense. You should be blocking that. The spawns could definitely be better to make control more consistent. An update away from making the game mode not as ass, but hey, here we are, still not updating spawns. But with that being said, control is not that Fugazi of a game mode, other than Fortress, in my opinion. But I think it's the most important game mode. If you're using logic, 2 top teams play each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's only one of the best of 5s. 100%. So technically, it's not. But bro, it's the map that saves you from getting reverse swept. It's the map that closes out 3-0s. It's the map that pushes the series, goes up 2-1. It's the swing map. But hypothetically, if a good team plays a good team, they win their map pick, you win their map pick. Your map pick, right? Then they win their search map pick, you win your search map pick. Whoever wins the control wins the series. Control is an extremely important game mode. So, like, yeah, it's just right now they might be struggling on it, and that sucks. But yeah, like when you're, I feel, I don't even know what the stat of this is, and this could be so faded. But in the way I view it, if you're a really, really good control team, you should just you're almost like a top team inevitably, because again, most likely you'll be able to win one search and one heart. You'll be able to like sneak out that shit. And then when you're a really good control team, I think in Cold War, our control records were fucking nuts. I'm pretty sure.
Like 45-7 or something.
But people always talk about how dominant we were in Cold War. A big reason we were dominant was because of control. Because again, you could have a hot start, go up 2-0 on us, we're coming right back, right? We're winning the next hard point, we're winning the control, and then we're game 5 with you. We're up 2-0 on you, you're playing raid control against us, you lost. Just, go next. Like, a lot of the control is a really, really important mode to be dominant, to be a top team. So yeah, I mean, if they're struggling like you're saying with that right now, like, there's just something they need to work on. But I will say one thing. I know I just like said it's not a Fugazi mode. It's not. You can be good at, I don't think Fortress Control is competitive. I think the other two are. But I do think Control this year is a couple spawn updates away from still being even more consistent, where like you can have more of a philosophy on it. Right now, I still think it's a little but still, like, there is a method to it, and you have to be good at it. And again, so yeah, if they can fix that, that'd be huge for them. But control is super, super important. I think it's like actually underratedly important. Not gonna lie. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Fortress Control might be one of the worst maps that we've ever played in competitive Call of Duty. Like, I thought Gavitu was bad last year, but
Fortress Control is fucking miserable.
At least you can cap one of the points in Gavitu, and then you just kind of hustle around beach and just do a bunch of bullshit. Fortress Control might be the worst. I will say that myself and Tommy, not to give us too much credit, we're really trying to convince your team and LA Thieves to scrim this week. You guys can try out other maps. And it seemed like Thieves was down. It seemed like Austin was down. So I don't know if
Wait,
you guys have thoughts about it.
My team's down. I'll say my team's down for me. Like, but regardless, why is it up to us and LA Thieves? I was
that was gonna be my next point. Is why is it up to you guys to force this around? Like, where's the help?
So first of all, Owen, we tried Mercado and we actually liked Mercado because we were good. Like, again, biasly speaking, we were actually pretty good at Mercado control, and so we wanted a lot. But I thought Mercado played better than Fortress, but Mercado's still kind of ass. I'm not gonna lie. Mercado's spawn trap's still a little mixy.
It's weird. By the way, it's super weird. If you ever played Mercado Control, the spawn direction, like the way the sides work, or 90 degrees from how it works in hardpoint.
It's odd, but with what I want to go into, which again I want to address like more of an important issue again for the future of the league and that's the future. Tell me if I'm faded. You can tell me I'm a fucking dumbass or chat too. But why is it up to LA Thieves and Atlanta FaZe and I'd say OpTic and other teams to like take their own time to scrim? Again, that should be like they should scrim it. They have to try it out. But like I feel like it should be almost like mandated by like the league to have to scrim it or something that needs to be like more organized. Where like again, there's a group of people in the league that are dedicated to making decisions that work with the pro players. Again, because biasly speaking, if you're really good at a map, you're going to vote for it, even though, for example, if you're nasty at Fortress Control, you're not going to want to get it taken out. Why would you? That'd be ridiculous. And that's also really stupid. So there should be like a group of people that work with the pro players to like eliminate the bias a little bit, but also have their own opinions and like go back and forth and like mandate tests every once in a while, like once or twice a week where like two teams scrim each other and they play museum control 4 times. Again, take an hour out of your day. Every team's mandated to do it. So no one team's like, well, they're not doing that enough, so we're not doing that enough because they're getting more practice than us. You know what I mean? Like, everyone does it an even amount of times, so everyone's fair, so everyone, you know what I mean? Like, and then you figure it out of what the map is going to do. And then the group of people that are dedicated in the CDL that have no affiliation with teams, talk to the teams, you go back and forth, you do some voting, you do some testing, and then you make a fucking decision, right? And then you make a decision of, hey, Fortress Control is the worst map ever fucking played. Museum Control, yeah, it might not be that good, I have no idea. But it's better than Fortress. We're going to put it in for Major 4. Now, you don't just add it in Major 3, but Major 4, 5, and Champs, boom, you have a new map set. Like, I personally think, like, that needs to happen immediately and then push it for, again, the season's long. I know Major 3 is really important for, like, the teams that are at the bottom right now. And then the teams at the top, it's not as important. Everything's important.
Isn't there 4+ months of the season, probably, right?
But yeah, we have nothing but time, but we have to get to it right now to, like... I feel like there just needs to be more of like a mandate from the league side too. Like it should not be whether or not LA Thieves and Atlanta FaZe or, X, Y, or Z teams want to sit down and actually take their own time out of their scrims to do that, where other teams don't want to do that to make a decision. It should be mandated by the league. You go onto CDL servers and you play this map 4 times. You give your feedback. X team gives you feedback. CDL committee, whoever the fuck it is, gives their feedback. And then by the end of the week, everyone's gotten their feedback. You make a fucking decision. Major 4, you have a map set. Like, I feel like that needs to be done. Or am I faded for saying that?
No, listen, you've heard my position on this. Is basically what I've been trying to pitch for years now, which is, especially in the CDL era, it's all this conversation that we're talking about happens in 2 different Twitter DMs. There's a GA committee player DM where the players decide their GAs, and that's a whole clusterfuck that I've covered at length on Twitch. And then there's the player rep chat, which is just a DM in which, the player relations team kind of sends, even beyond just competitive topics, other information to the players in terms of information from the league, right? Because flight stuff, media schedules, this thing, that thing. The problem is what's lacking is, I think in regards to the competitive operations topics like you're discussing, it needs to be like every other sport on planet Earth, some kind of governance structure, some kind of committee that can enact the process that you're talking about. I don't understand why this stuff is still being done through Twitter DM. I don't understand why there's not a group of all the stakeholders involved here, whether it's the players, the teams, the league, people from the development studios that work on the games, to try and work on these issues. And it can be quick enough, bro. It's not a committee that needs to meet every 3 weeks. It's a committee that should meet on demand and should be able to meet weekly. To your point, like Fortress Control should not be in the game right now. By now, we should have tried different maps. We just got 2 in the game. I don't know if Museum or Dome Control work. but someone should be trying them out and see how we can get this fortress control out of here. Just for your stats, Chris, just so you understand how effing bad this map is. Right now on fortress control,
I know the
offense,
stats. Yep.
offense is winning 20. This is in real matches. I don't know what you
yeah.
have in scrims. It's probably worse. In real matches right now, fortress control offense is winning 20.54% of the time. And just for reference, hotel it's 56.28, Asilo 36.67.
Yeah.
And we've had maps around the 30s to 40s on offense, 50s to 60s on as well on offense. So there's a good offense defense split that can happen. I really like that there's one offensive side of map, one defensive side of map. Obviously, side pick game 5 control should be a thing, but whatever.
Yeah, we're not getting that.
That fortress percentage is unacceptable. The map is unacceptable. It needs to get out of here.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I agree. And so someone said about Octane saying that they can't create an original map. I don't. Is his museum off limits because of the legal shit or something?
Sam was on our watch party stream on Saturday, and said that that there is some issue preventing museum from being played.
So okay, but regardless, even if it's museum or dome, I'm willing at this point. I'm willing to try any map. I don't even care if it's Mercado again. Give it a try. Maybe it's awful. Maybe it's not. I have no idea. And then so on and so forth. I know we're not dealt the best hand here of like, you know, maps and shit. And maybe, you know, maybe we have no choice with some of this shit. And if that's the case, that's the case. But that doesn't really kind of take me away from my point of like this process still needs to be faster and better and more organized and professional. I don't think it should be on the teams or the players to take extra time out of their scrims where some other teams might not choose to because they want to scrim more and get the competitive edge, even though that's ridiculous. But like, again, it should just be mandated where there's a bunch of people looking into it, like way better, more proper feedback, and then the league should be making the decision. And I think that could just be better. There should be a process to it no matter what, and I think that would help us out a lot. Again, you know my views on it. There's a lot of shit that this game should also be doing correctly too, but yeah, I don't know. I still think it can be slightly better in that sense. And even to the loudness equalization thing too, with like speaking of this, I also think that should be a rule. And I also, my opinion on that is if you say loudness equalization is not allowed and you can do IT checks, I know online it's way harder to enforce. I get that. I fully get that. It makes so much sense why it's hard to enforce. But if there are IT checks and you can go into someone's computer and see if it's on, right? On the IT check, technically speaking, as soon as that IT check goes away, you can just turn it on yourself online, right? Like there's obviously ways around it, of course. It's very easy. But I think if it becomes a rule to the point where if you get random checked or like, you know, there's some random check process where like they tell you to like, you know, pull up your shit without touching your computer and you get caught using it, I feel like that's also like should be, you know, there should be a repercussion to it. And I feel like that alone would just make all the pros stop using it. Because a big reason why a lot of that shit's also an issue in the league is because a lot of people feel like they get sound hoard once and they're like, he must be using soundless equalization, so I'm using sound equalization. You know what I mean? And I feel like once it becomes like an actual rule and not a GA that could be enforced, God forbid you did get caught using that, no one's gonna risk their career for a sound setting online that you can't use on LAN. You know what I mean? So again, I feel like that should just be a rule too. But hey, I don't know. I feel like it's just so, I don't know. Haggy said pros would just turn it off before the check. I get that, but like if, for example, if they just had some sort of way to random check or do anything, I really don't think most people would risk their career and or being suspended or whatever the repercussion would be for an online setting that you can't use on LAN. Think about that. Why would you risk an online setting that you can't use on LAN that you can potentially get suspended for like that? Like again, if that was an actual rule, I feel like that actual rule and like threat alone would just make the effectiveness like at least 90% higher. Like it would just be better. I don't know. But I see that though.
Here's my thing, and I would love for if someone's an IT expert in the chat, let me know. Like the way Windows works, like I'm sure there's a registry key to disable that ability in Windows, and you can obviously set policy as well for users. So like to Chris's point, yeah, people can turn it up. I'm assuming you could just write a service on the back end that just reports back to the league if someone fucks with that setting, or you just lock it down. Like I refuse to believe that even online on hardware that the league has, and mind you, I know that people use different mix amps and different headsets. That's the variable that we don't have on LAN. I refuse to believe that there's not a way for them to set policy on these PCs to prevent people from doing it, and then have punishments, if people somehow get around it and cheat.
Yeah. I just don't think anyone's going to go that far to get around to the cheat for a setting that you can't use on LAN. So if it's an actual rule where you're not allowed to use, I think every pro turns it off immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this goes back to the committee thing. There's just no really good forum for these things to air out. And you know what I've learned? I've learned that sometimes the GA chat is pretty silent on these issues. People don't want to air this out, even in the player rep chat. But they're happy to go on stream and talk about it. Like the whole process itself right now, it's busted, and it's all on the players to kind of self-enforce some of this. And then when it's a big enough issue, go to the league. The league, I think, needs to put their hand on the wheel a little bit more in regards to some of this stuff and kind of help. I think a better environment for the players, the random people that play, rank play now, and also the viewers at home, so they have a good product to watch.
Yeah, I think it would just help. I don't know. I think it just could be a little bit better. I still think the CDL is doing a really good job, by the way. When I say this shit, I'm just suggesting stuff that could just make it more organized, I feel like. I just feel like there has to be a better system for some of this stuff. But yeah.
I would say I really like what this, from an overall marketing perspective. Okay, a couple things. First off, event attendance. No one's talked about this, but event attendance now, since COVID, has been really good in the CDL. I think pretty much every venue is sold out, which has been really good. ESA sold out completely. I had people hitting me up to get tickets to Major 3. Like, that's how that is. I don't know where Major 4 is yet. Toronto will probably sell out too. Even though that building is pretty big, it was packed on Sunday. So there's that. Our viewership is great. I know online this weekend wasn't great, but obviously we're getting to the point where people just are not always going to tune on the online matches just because they just don't care. They don't count as much as LAN, and the big matches will get viewership, but LAN viewership at Major 2 is like 300K plus. And I know there's this whole YouTube thing, but I don't know what's going on with that, yada, yada, yada. So in general right now, like in terms of like the engagement and growth around the league, and just by the way, CDL also has leaned into a lot of the drama and all this other stuff on the broadcast on socials, which has been really good. They haven't shied away from some of this story building, world building that's going on around the CDL. So from like all of that stuff, it's doing well. But the competitive ops side is still, and this has been a struggle now for 7 or 8 years pre-CDL. We're talking CWL era when MLG, and I know Joe DeLuca, your boy, was at one point involved with this process. Like, it's still a similar issue. And everybody involved with the CDL, not even just you guys, like I'm sure ownership groups would love to see a little bit more movement on this, because it helps the product become a little bit better, and we don't have to see fucking Fortress Control again. I swear. Bro, if I see someone turtle in the map 4 again, round 4 again in Fortress Control, I don't know what I'm gonna do to my setup, man. I might literally flip my desk. No bullshit.
Yeah, no.
Do your chat see me rage in those situations? Trust me.
I've seen you rage too. I've seen you rage too, man.
And Romeo, I agree. Puckett's also been a really good host this year. That's been a really good ad. Puckett asks really good questions. He leans into stuff. And the same point about inviting Zoom and Haggy on the main show, that wasn't necessarily Puckett. That's actually the Esports Engine guys who have wanted to, during parts of the majors, get on community members. So getting myself on, getting Tommy on, getting Haggy on, they had Tactical Rab on, like just trying to really lean into a lot of the additional content creators that are around the scene, not just make it like our guys or our people. Again, I think from like an engagement and growth standpoint and like all of the marketing and sort of vision of the league, I think they're doing a really good job. It's just this competitive ops thing has just become a cluster F.
Yeah, it just has to be a little bit more clean, and I think we'd be good.
Anyway, speaking of Major 2, let's talk about Boston, another team that made changes. Obviously, your old former teammate Methods retired off now in Dallas land. He just moved to Dallas this week, and obviously he's now joined OpTic as a content creator. He's doing those watch parties, so he's left the Boston organization completely. Although I assume he's still rooting for Boston these days. And he's been replaced by Benjamin Beans, a player, if you don't know, who really played really well in EU Challengers last year. Made the move over here. Was playing really good in NA Challengers. Is now in the Boston lineup, and they had a pretty fun week. Went 2-0, beat Toronto, beat London. I think Beans in particular did not play good in the first series. If you've seen the meme of his face after that last map, it's pretty hilarious. And he said in the post-game interview that he got fried. but he played much better in the second series. I don't know if you watched any of Boston play this weekend, Chris, but if you did, I'm curious your thoughts on the gameplay.
I got to watch a little bit of them just because, you know, between like warming up and stuff and all that other things and just like stuff that happens after the matches. But yeah, I got to watch a little of them. Obviously, I've seen them still scrim and stuff. I'm still familiar with the Boston rosters in general. I mean, I think Boston is a good team. I've said this already, and they won a game 5. Everyone was happy about it. They won a game 5. I don't think they looked like, you know, stellar, but they're still a new team, and they still have some stuff to work out. I know there was some like Fugaze or something with the first map or something with London. Or am I faded for like? I saw I think I saw a Dominate tweet or something about ping, or I don't know. Regardless, I think Boston is a good team. I thought Boston was a good team with methods as well. I think Beans added to this roster. I still think they're going to be really good. Yeah, like he has to find his way and respawn a little bit more, get a little bit more comfortable. I think he will. I think he's really talented from what I've seen. I think he's got like, you know, I think he's got what it takes to be a pretty good player in this league. So I don't know. I think they look good. I am not a Boston hater. Even with when we talked about like the whole like the, you know, they're not like executing when it matters kind of thing. I think if that's only a matter of time until that team is good. So like I respect them as a team. I think they're good practice when we play them, and you know, so I think they look good.
Yeah, speak on the ping thing real quick, not to totally divulge us. Like, so
we
had
saw something about it.
That I think what happened was that there is like a ping adjustment tool to sort of normalize pings if they get into a server situation where people plus 15 or plus 20. And I guess the tool didn't get used that map one, but even then London had a great chance to win that map. And they absolutely trolled the end of that map. Really poorly. Like they got a perfect break and then had the worst setup of all time. They just got it instant broken from middle on the sort of snake pit hill on hotel. For the L's, so London just finding new ways to lose. But I agree with you. I don't think we've seen the best of Boston just yet. 2-0 is a great start for them. And I think Beans is going to be he's a totally different player from Zen in the way that he plays. First off, I think Beans is going to come in and potentially be the best sniper in the league. I don't know if you've seen that guy snipe, but he's actually insane. There's clips on Twitter and like he had some crazy ones in the matches. I think he's going to be he's going to give their S&D a new look, which is going to be really nice. I think Respawn will see with them, but they have some easy games coming up. They have LAG in Florida they should take care of. I think they're likely going to get a top seed for this event. They're going to close out versus Thieves on the final weekend. So
a big thing for them is this, like, I think they're going to get a top seeded like online the way they've been playing. Again, I think they're a good team. It's just whether or not they're going to show up and obviously execute. And I have faith that they can do that. I think they're always going to be a threat as a team, and the more they play, the more they'll get better. So I think Boston is a team that you could never take lightly. I think they're a team that can contend when they're playing at their best. So I don't know. I don't really hate on that team like a lot of people do. And but before we go farther with anything, what the fuck is this Ben Bark shit?
Okay, bro.
What is going on? Why is everyone asking you to bark? What did I miss?
Okay. So here's the deal. So the New York Subliners facility is like a giant like square. And what those idiots do is they get there in the morning, they all shoot bots, and they just troll on everybody's like Twitch streams in the morning.
Yeah,
so
like in my stream all the time,
yeah. Usually it's like in my stream around like noon or 11. I see kids post first, and I see Skies, then I see fucking Troy Center Michaels, and I'm like, okay, I know what's going on here. They asked me to bark yesterday, and like and RJ knows when I get asked to do something and get put on the spot, like I crumble.
Yeah,
and so I tried to bark, and it was horrible. It was actually I was like mid bark and I walked away. That's how bad it was. Troy came in and gave me an example, and then I did it again. It wasn't that bad, but yeah, no, that's what I was talking about.
All right, so now I'm sorry to do this to you, Ben, but like I won't continue this podcast unless you bark right now.
Bro.
Yep, I'm sorry. Listen, like
you gonna make you bark right now?
I mean, I feel left out that I never heard you bark, so now I have to hear you bark.
All right.
Yeah.
Woof. That good enough?
That was good. That was a good bark. There you go, chat. That's the Ben bark. Honestly, Ben, that was a pretty good bark. Is that what he sounded like the first time?
No. Wait, that was horrible.
Does anyone have a clip?
Horrible.
Can I get a clip of the first time, chat?
Yeah, I can put it in your chat.
Put it in my chat. Put it in my chat, please. Thank you. Hold up. Before we go on to this, we got a lot of time for this podcast, as you guys can see, so we can have some fun with this one. I want to see this clip. I mean, I want to see this. Yeah.
Fucking CDL Pal's Twitter, bro.
Yeah,
there
dude.
we go.
I might have to re-download Twitter, bro. I'd be missing a lot, dude. Holy shit. Are you?
Yeah,
you DMing me?
you've been missing a lot. All you just gotta do is follow fucking this guy. I don't know if you know who your CDL pal is. He's someone new to this scene. He only started watching in like Modern Warfare 2019.
That's the guy. That's the guy that had all that shit with New York, right?
Yeah. Because it's really funny. We've had him on the couch a lot, like at events, and we ask him questions, and it's like, bro, this guy like. Anyway, no, there's a clip you want to watch it.
Yeah,
he always posts. He was always called in my stream, man.
I'm pulling it up. Hold up. Okay. Pulling it up, chat. Hold up. Here we go. So I just want to compare before we continue to move on here.
This clip is bad, Chad. This clip is bad.
All right. So we just heard Ben's bark right there. Now let's hear this one.
That's the bulldog right there, man, ladies and gentlemen.
Nah, bro. Ben, what the fuck was that, man?
That's why I instantly took the head that says it off, bro. I lost composure, bro. I lost composure. Right there, we're good, though. I know this. We're good. We're chilling now, Chris. Listen. Ladies and gentlemen,
You said ARF, bro. You literally said ARF.
No, because that's what kids wanted me to do. I asked if I should vote for ARF, and he said ARF, and I was like, all right, bet.
Damn, he really set you up for failure right there.
No, I set myself up for failure, but not using my chest. That's the issue.
Yeah, you know that what you just did before was like a lot more like.
Yeah, because I fucking practiced it because now everybody's gonna ask me to fucking do it.
So you're telling me you've been like off stream practicing your bark?
I practiced it like 2 or 3 times last night after I got off.
Proud of you, Ben. Proud of you.
I appreciate it.
All right, moving on. So yeah, there you go, Ben Bark. Yep.
So Boston, we'll see. I mean, I think to your point, they're a good team. They were a good team in Major 1, good team in Major 2. The problem is they're like, I mean, a lot of people consider them to be the least iciest team in the game, which I don't know. I think there were probably other teams that are bad teams that find ways to lose, but their problem is when they play good teams, and it's been their issue since last year, they don't always match that level. So let's see if bringing Beans in maybe gets them on the right path where they can make it deep in one of these tournaments. Would love to see this Boston squad make it to a grand final at some point this year. I think they have the talent to do so.
Yep.
A couple more squads that made changes that we should talk about. We already talked about Florida. We don't need to do that. Let's talk about the Vegas Legion. So their change was a little bit interesting. There were rumors last week they were making a 2-person change. And I think that they really were thinking about it. I think buyouts and a bunch of other stuff got in the way of that. So they ended up making one that was Prelude being benched and actually released, because this is what fucking Vegas does, is when they bench you, they don't want to pay out that salary the whole year, so you just get released. Anyway, tough for Byron. Too Real comes over again from the same squad as Dan Ghosty. They also brought in Nagafin to be their assistant coach now. Interesting. And we'll get to that in a second. And Vegas went 1-1 this week. A surprising victory over the LA Thieves in the first series. And then came up just short on Sunday against a newish look Toronto. So I don't know if you watched any of Vegas play. Curious your thoughts on some of that gameplay.
So I don't think so. We talked about the I'm glad that they didn't make a 2-person change. We talked about this last episode. I'm happy they didn't make a 2-person change. I know we talked about like whether or not they wanted to keep Prelude or TJ. I think TJ is a very smart player. I know he's not playing the best of his ability, but I do think TJ knows how to play Call of Duty and like how to win and whatever. He struggled. He's good at search, the whole thing, whatever. But I'm happy they didn't make the 2-person change, and we were a little bit like questionable on Too Real just because he struggled the last time he was in the league. To give him the benefit of the doubt, the last time he was in the league, he was in a very tough situation where he was not set up to fry. You know, he wasn't on the best of teams. The team was struggling, so on and so forth. Like, you know, that team was not like, you know, like it's not like he got thrown into a great situation and then blew it. Like, he was not in the best situation to start. But I know I saw Clayster's interview when they beat LA Thieves. I think that was when he did the interview about Too Real, saying it was his pick, and he 100% trusts Too Real to play like way better because he played with him in Challengers. So I'm excited to see that Too Real played all right. Like, you know, like he did his thing, and like, you know, they have a lot of faith in him. And I never thought that this Vegas team was like a lower. I know a lot of people use them as like this like lower seeded team. I don't really think they like, even when they haven't been playing that bad, like I don't think they're that like of a lower seeded team. Like I think they have the potential to again come out, beat LA Thieves and beat a really good team, and they're, you know, they have that in them. I think they're good. I know they've struggled, if I recall correctly, they were struggling in control for a little bit, and like they were just like they were struggling here and there. But I think this team with new life being too real, again, I think a player change, no matter what it is, always makes the other 3 players kind of lock it in again because it's a brand new team. They want to prove themselves and all this other stuff. I know Donnie's now playing at our facility. I'm pretty sure he's going to continue to do that, if I'm correct.
I'm excited to see him this week.
Yeah. He's going to be playing at our facility, so he's probably feeling a little bit more confident with having the just being at a business internet line and all that. And yeah, so I think this Vegas team again can definitely make some waves. It depends on how consistent they can keep that, like at that level. But this is not a team that I would ever say I feel like people disrespected some just the way their ability to win matches and stuff. It's just more or less for them. It's like keeping the ceiling that they can hit consistent. Kind of up in that. And I think with this one person change right now, I think this might help them a little bit in their respawns. I still think their search will be pretty good at just here and there. I think they have a team that's not easy to beat by no means. And I don't know. I like this Vegas team. I'm happy they didn't make a 2-person change just because I don't think a 2-person change was fully necessary. I was a little questionable on Too Real, but I think with Clay's vouch for him and him playing a little bit better, he played pretty well on some of the maps. He had a couple good maps for Steve's too. I don't know. I'm excited to see how they continue to develop, but I don't mind them right now. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah. I think first off, their control looks way better.
Yeah, that's huge.
I think Too Real is a big part of that. So we talk about control vetoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see 1 of 2 scenarios happen. Okay. Either Fortress Control gets banned, and then it's a choice between Asilo or Hotel, or the team bans either Hotel or Asilo, and then the other team's left with the choice of, do you just square up on the Mickey map, aka Fortress, or you just pick the other map? And it makes the control vetoes really hilarious.
Yeah.
So Vegas don't play Asilo at all. So they're either going to play Fortress or Hotel, which they played in a majority of series. And Too Real just looks really comfortable. Putting pressure on the map, especially around the A side, around Globe, around their spawn. He's really good at finessing and getting those pinch kills when they're trying to break right. You can't just flood kitchen side and just head smash the hill trying to break it. You need to go around and cut them off and then kill spawners. He does a really good job of giving them sort of dynamic play they didn't really have with Pro and TJ as a combo, who really struggled in that game mode. I'll say this about the Vegas squad is they're now back on the path of being a really good Game 5 grinder team. They have won a couple of series this year in Game 4. They won a series against a team last major. It might have been, I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it OpTic where they won
OpTic.
3 respawns?
Yeah, they beat OpTic.
They won 2 respawns. They won 3 respawns on that series. I just looked it up. They won a Mercado, a Hotel Control, and a Hydro Hardpoint. That's not going to happen too often with this Vegas team because the one thing they do need to work on, and we saw it at the tail end of that series against Toronto, is their hardpoint's still very iffy. They made a really poor play at the end of the Hydro, and TJ was kind of responsible where it was a really close game going to last rotation. They got the good sides for P2. TJ went all around on a P5. And then a couple of their guys were, I can link you the VOD if you want to watch it. A couple of guys were P3. And obviously on Hydro, if you are playing P1 and people are P3, you need to make sure you're blocking the P2 side of the map.
I have the VOD up. What time is it? I have the VOD up for the control round, but I can go back obviously for the.
Yeah, no, go forward. Go.
Yeah, sorry. Here, where's the Hydro? No, let me try and find it really quick.
That was during Thieves though. Let me give you the one. This is actually.
I would say this is the wrong. I would say this is the wrong VOD then. Yeah, I would say because I have the VOD that we have in the document, but not the right one.
I'll link it to you in 1 second. But we're gonna take a look at it, Chad, and you're gonna see that this was actually a fairly winnable situation for Vegas. I don't know if they would have won this map necessarily, but they would have actually have had a chance, and they didn't. It is not on YouTube, so give me 1 second. I'll go to
No, you're good. Yeah, no. I was saying, I have it the VOD in the document, but it's just the other one.
The other thing, too, with Vegas is just a more consistent slaying out of their whole team in Hardpoint. They have a very shallow map pool in that game mode. They're really decent and sometimes on Mercado, but they need to expand their pool because it's really, really narrow in that. Clearly, they are starting to try and play a little bit more Hydro, which is nice. But in general, they're just very shallow. I have the play right here.
Hydro's a good map to be good at too. If you can somehow get good at Hydro to the point where you're really confident on it, that's a map that a lot of teams don't like, obviously. So that's not a bad one. Oh my God, you're just spamming that shit, bro. Let's go.
Yes, you can see it. Yeah.
Hold up. I have to go to my chat. My bad. Sorry.
All good. I'm just used to doing the chat because you have a two PC just like Tommy.
It's a pain in the ass. Yep, you're right.
So.
All right.
I know this strat. So I'll explain this while you pull this up. So it's when I linked to the Chris, it's 217, 190. Vegas is at old trying to get the last 10 seconds. So it's basically like a 20-point game.
Yep.
And number 5 is TJ. And he's making a really good play here, right? Toronto's kind of trying to stack P1, trying to win this. And he has an opportunity to go all around, flip the spawns. And if they make P1 mixy, they can win P2. We've seen this a couple of times. We were talking about OpTic earlier. They did this in a series at a major where they made this play. So you're going to look, TJ does make it all the way around. And then number 7, which is Too Real, is going for this P3 pinch. And when you do end up getting in here and blocking the spawn, you need to make sure if you're number 5 TJ, that you're going back and you're keeping that P2 side block. He doesn't. Pixie spawns there, and this map is over because they're flooding P3. Toronto's in the hill, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. So what? Your criticism is that TJ died. And like he should have played his life, is what you're saying?
So here's the issue with this, because we can't tell because we don't have the team comms. It is possible that TJ got 0 callouts from his team, had no idea that they were P3 and saying block, 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 block. He just assumed they would spawn up behind him. Mm-hmm. Or he got those callouts and he just didn't listen to them. It's hard to tell from this end because we don't have their comms, but in general, we saw a situation, we see the situation play a lot on this map. Hydra's got really funky spawns and how sticky they are, or how much you need to kind of hard block certain spawns in order to manipulate them the way you want. And this situation is one where if you are on this P1, putting yourself in that P3 spot and you want to keep getting your team to spawn on the P2 side, like you need to back up there. Otherwise, they're just going to kind of spawn around the guy on P3.
Yeah.
And then you're just going to not get the result you want.
I see what you mean. I think there's another thing too, like as, there, we can, I'm not going to like deep dive into it, but like TJ is also sitting here thinking like with Too Real spawning up, the communication between Too Real and TJ is really important here. Like you said, like we don't have their comms, but yeah, it just comes down to like, I also feel like TJ might have felt the pressure slightly in the sense of like, Clay just got a nade kill, but to back it up right here, like TJ feels the pressure in the sense of just like really wanting to make sure they also get P1 time and just don't lose. Cause you can get smoked on P1. You know what I mean? You can get smoked on P1. It doesn't matter what side you're coming from. Like, for example, we're talking about the P2 spawns in order to win, but like they also need to make it to P2, right? And there's 55 seconds on P1, and this is a hill that's very milkable hill. You can milk this shit, and
you got
like
a top dome, you get on the fucking
exactly.
bridge,
So it's like I think TJ is just thinking here too, like he wants to collapse and get like this guaranteed kill, and like everyone, like say like in this scenario, TJ collapses into the hill, gets the hill, and then turns around while they're spawning dome. And then, like, they obviously, like, get a couple waves of kills and then flip them. Because you could also flip them pretty easily on P1 to P2 if you do it right. So, like, I think it was probably a miscommunication.
But, like, problem, Chris, I agree with you saying, Chris.
No, yeah.
Is, again, he's trying to make a play on time on P1. They can't win off of P1. That's the issue. That's why he's going to make the P2 play. Because even if they get this insta-break and they get 50 seconds,
I know what you're
still
saying.
Going to lose.
They can't win on P1, but they can lose on P1. Yeah. And I think that's my point. I think he's thinking like we can lose here if I don't make a play and get a kill. So like again, I know what you mean though. Yeah, like I'm not saying like you're wrong or I'm like I'm not gonna like deep dive into the play, but yeah, like I think he was also thinking like we can also lose on here. I'm about to save the game by like getting him off of it and then turning around. Like he could have just got a little greedy, or could have just been a miscommunication. Like I don't know, but yeah, that was tough. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, they trolled a bunch of other hills. I mean, we don't need to watch this all up, but prior to this, like. I don't know how this map was close. Like Vegas was hard trolling a bunch of like P4s and P2s. It was actually hilarious that this map ended up being like a 50-point game because they were having these great like P5 holds in order to stay in this game. It was a really weird one. But I think with more practice, this Vegas team again with Too Real is gonna be a little bit more dynamic than with Prelude. I think TJ is gonna need to be a little bit more consistent in respawn. He's still really struggling in hardpoint and control. So if they want to be like a top 6 team, I think he's the player that's got to step it up. Clay started to play a lot better individually.
Yeah, I feel like Clay's been playing pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, Clay had a really slow start this season. To your point, I think Temp playing out of facility is also good because as far as I know, he pings like 25 milliseconds better from your guys' dark fiber than he does from his apartment. So without that, we also, though, one request is we do need to see Temp on MC Mondays. That needs to happen.
We do. I agree.
Yeah. We need him on MC Mondays.
We need Donnie doing some content, dude. That'd be fucking hilarious. But
okay, so a phase, like just get him in all the works, bro.
Honestly, like, I was about to say, I mean, I don't know, depending on the schedule when they record that and stuff, and Donnie obviously has to, still like travel to the facility. But yeah, if they got him on the podcast, that'd be pretty cool. I think if they got him on the podcast, because Donnie's just like such a good personality. I feel like in a podcast like type thing, like he would be like literally perfect for that. So if they were to do that, that'd be dope. But yeah, that obviously means getting him to come in and stuff. But yeah,
Yep.
we can move on.
Two more teams.
Yeah,
three
who we
more
wanna
teams I
talk
want to
about?
talk about. We're not going to talk about everybody. Like I don't want to spend too much time. Unfortunately, talking about London. It's a waste of time. Anyway, Toronto was on our team that surprisingly made a change this weekend. I don't think anyone saw this one necessarily coming this weekend. So they got Kentucky Fried on Friday. And for more context, Toronto was playing great prior to Major 2. And then they won their first match of the Major. And then they pulled up on Saturday after, winning their Thursday match. And an absolute stinker and lost 6 maps to you guys, to Thieves. So it's tough. They lost to team number 1 and team number 2. But then they pulled up against Boston on Friday and did not play well. And so they decided to go ahead and make a change, which was moving Standy to the bench for Hixie. And then from there, they had a very mixed series. We just watched that Vegas series, which they ended up winning in game 4. So Toronto going 1-1 this week. I think let's talk about the change. My sense of it was that it had to be some, just like with the Ellie thing. Like, I don't think it was a performance thing, even though Standy was playing poorly in the 3 series that they were lost prior to the change, although they all played poorly. I don't know if you agree with me from the perspective that had to be some back end stuff with the team that was getting in the way of them playing the way they wanted to.
I think that's a guaranteed yes. Again, you don't know anything behind closed doors, but I was a fan of the Toronto team before. Even last episode, we talked about them. I think that even with them having a struggle where they played poorly versus us on Saturday or whatever, and then they lost out of the tournament, they still looked really good going into Major 1 and Major 2. They looked like a contending team before those majors, right? And they played well. So I think the Toronto team was a very good team, and then them making this change, like, there has to be something that we don't know. Like, I feel like this has to be more of like they are just not either getting along, not confident. There's something more to it than just on paper, like, let's replace this guy for this guy. This is no slight at Hixie either. I'm just saying, like, I just think this Toronto team looked pretty good. I thought, again, Standy didn't play that well in the last couple of series, whatever, but like, I thought this Toronto team was good. I just think that this has to be more, like, this was way, like, even I know you used the Illy comparison, but I feel like this is even like less of that. Like, I feel like this is more, like, this has to be like almost guaranteed there is more to the story of like them either not getting along or, practice not going well, the culture, there was something there that caused this to go. So yeah. I think it has to be that.
It happened really quick because they played on Friday, and then this basically, the rumors flew around like Saturday afternoon that they were going to make a change.
Is that how that happened? Well, didn't you leak it? Didn't you leak it?
I got information from one of my mods. As you know, in the Call of Duty scene, once the team tells people to get ready for announcements, like, everybody knows. And so I found out, didn't want to say anything on stream. And then it got pushed back a bit, and then they eventually put it out on Saturday, like right before matches started. Which is surprising because they didn't play till Sunday, so they could have kept this quiet until Sunday if they wanted to. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how they play going forward. A lot of people are speculating on Standy's future. Toronto has normally not been an org to sell people, as we've seen with like the Zinni situation, like year 1 with their team when they had 10 players. We'll see if there's another team that tries to acquire Eli on their squad, but he might be right in the pine for a sec here.
Well, also depending on how Toronto does, again, I still think Toronto should be a pretty good team. But depending on how Toronto does, I don't know if you want to get rid of Standy right away anyway, or also depending on how bad things are behind the scenes. If this were to be true and they're like not getting along or some shit, then maybe it's already chalked in like Standy's never coming off the bench, period. Like, it would just never work. But if Standy can come back and sorry, Jesus, and they like figure things out, like, Toronto can still be a really good team. It's just really hard to come back from being benched, and usually, like, that level of professionalism is very rare. And I'm like, not even just a slight at Standy, but just for a lot of people, like, you kind of get like kind of pissed when someone drops you, and then like coming back, like, I don't think we're there in Call of Duty where like you just kind of come back all happy and like, let's do this again. Like, so like, I think depending on how bad things were that caused this change, you would keep Stanley, but if they are that bad, then maybe you try and you get rid of him or sell him, or he just sits on the bench. But if you were just gonna sell him, or do whatever you're gonna do, sell his contract or whatever, I think it comes down to you need to get someone that's good though too. You have to get someone to be able to sit on your bench that's ready to go. So I don't know. I definitely think it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, we had Stanley on the flank. He was very upset after the whole situation. I
Was
don't
he?
blame him.
Oh, you talked to him?
Yeah.
So what did he say?
He said a bunch. He also tweeted a bunch of stuff that he deleted. It sounds like he felt like after Major 2 that they wanted to drop him and they were just kind of waiting for the right moment to do it. Again, he's in a situation where he's going through just to give you a state of mind, I think he's going through the sort of stages that you go through when you get dropped, right? You're just going through different stages of emotion. And I think he felt like they'd sort of decided that he wasn't part of the crew and they wanted to pick a moment to drop him and bring in someone in Hixie that they were a little more familiar with, friends with. And so that was kind of why he felt hurt. He felt there wasn't really a competitive decision. He felt it was based on just sort of back end friendship stuff.
Yeah, and just to be devil's advocate, I guess. And again, I don't know what the fuck happens, and that's his side of this. That's his side. And
yeah, it's his side.
That could be 100%. His side is actually just how it went. I have no idea, but if they weren't getting along or whatever, clearly if he didn't feel like a part of the team or whatnot, I feel like there needs to be some sort of communication process with the play. Maybe there was and it just was not solvable. But I feel there sounds like there's a lot of conversations that either A, just never happened or didn't go properly, and a bunch of other stuff. So if you don't feel like a part of the team, or you're feeling like you're gonna get dropped and stuff, why? Can you work on it? Can you get better? Or and again, maybe it's he doesn't maybe it's what they're doing. Maybe they're being assholes and he's just tired of it, so he doesn't want to deal with that. You have no idea, but I feel like that's still pretty fixable with the proper communication between the players, the teammates, the coaching, and all that. So it's I wonder the other side of it and what actually happened. I feel like there has to be more to that. But yeah, he's definitely pissed, and it sucks because competitively speaking, again, they could be good with Hixie, and Hixie's not a bad player at all. I think the Toronto team looked really good with Standy. So I'm sure he's pissed for that reason, but I feel like there has to be more to that I don't know. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I feel bad for everybody involved, but we'll see what happens with their team now. They've got an interesting schedule. They've got OpTic coming up next. So that should be fun. New York, and then they close out against London. So they're 1-1 right now. We have 2 very hard games in London, so they should make it to winners. But if they go 0-2, they're going to need some stuff to go in their favor. So let's see how they do against teams, by the way, that I think are better than them in search. So the one thing we haven't talked about yet with London, or with Toronto, sorry, is they've been on a little bit of a search slide. I know they just made this change. So the S&D Asilo they played against Vegas with Hixie was maybe one of the most trolly maps I've ever seen in my entire life. The amount of ninja, Chris, there were 4 ninjas. If you
no, I know it was
actually I've never seen stuff like that before. But I think Toronto's got to work on their search a little bit now. We've got some bread and butters in Respawn that they're really good at, like Hotel Hardpoint. They're pretty solid control squad as well. S&D is starting to slide a little bit. And so they need to work on that because, again, once you match up with your OpTic, your New Yorks, your FaZes, your Thieves of the world, being able to win those map 2 and map 5 is going to be really key, or you're just going to, you're going to have tough win conditions. So that's Toronto. I think that's all the teams. We covered all the teams that made changes. I don't think we missed anybody.
No, yeah, I think that's everybody else. Yeah, I actually completely forgot about the fucking Toronto change, with all the other drama that's been going on.
Oh, it was not on my outline either, so I added that in mid-show.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
I want to talk about 2 more teams. I want to talk about a team that played really good this weekend and a team that did not play good this weekend. So let's start with the one that did good. The New York Subliners. Do we already talk about New York?
We briefed it. We briefly talked about
it. Let's dive in a little bit more, which is, again, they were really struggling in search prior to Major 2. They had a really funky travel situation for Major 2, which probably didn't help the whole weekend, and they ended up getting top 8 at that event, which is probably not a fair placing for the skill of that team, but it is what it is sometimes. And so I think they had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder going into this Major 3 qualifier. They had Rocker in Florida this weekend, and they did a pretty good job against both those teams. The Florida series, this is the second series, was pretty much a smoke show out of New York. The Rocker series was more interesting. Map 1 was pretty close on Fortress, which Rocker took. They played really great on that. Cammy made some crazy plays on that one, which you love to see. I know Cammy's been struggling a bit, and we'll get to that when we talk about Rocker in a sec. But New York smoked on a Mercado S&D and a Fortress control. Rocker then won the hard point. So very weird that Rocker took 2 respawns. And then the Fortress round 11, I don't know if you watched it, but Rocker did one of those things that I just...
You want to bring it up?
Round 11 offense. Yeah, if you want to load it up.
I'll bring it up.
Nothing. One of my biggest pet peeves in COD, if you were on offense in a round 11, is doing nothing.
That's a pet peeve of yours, Ben? You don't like that?
No.
No. Why?
The do nothing strat, because, bro, like as Embo says, get the rock down. Like, especially in this game. And on Fortress, which I know is a difficult map to lay the bomb sometimes, you do want to try and set up in a situation where the other team has to push you and you're not trying to push them. And so in this round 5,
wait,
if you want
are these highlights right now?
Those might be highlights.
Yeah, these are highlights. Yeah, I gotta back up.
Yeah, I probably.
you're good.
I clipped the wrong point. My bad.
Here we go. Bang.
I hate, well, Junior, I hate on all the do nothing strats. I don't like do nothing strats, although there are times where people play for picks. Don't confuse
the phase do nothing strat. What are you talking about? You got criticism?
I know what Junior's talking about. But
coach me up, Ben. What's up?
Well, there's a difference. So, like for example, sometimes I watch your team in Embassy on offense, hold office, hold outer, and kind of wait for a team to kind of expose themselves, find someone mid map, and then execute kind of a minute or so later. That's not a do nothing strat if you're just trying to get information at the beginning of a round. What this is you're going to watch is how late they wait to try and plant this bomb.
Oh, okay.
And how much time they burn. So
no coaching tips from Ben. Never mind. I thought you were about to coach me up. I was about to write it down and give it to Slasher, dude.
I don't need to coach Austin on fucking search. We're good.
Okay. All right, so this is the round we're talking about. Yep, do nothing.
Yeah.
So you're criticizing. All right, criticism's coming in.
So if you hit play, so Rocker do a good job getting back in this. As you see, Hydra 13 and 6 was doing some crazy stuff this map. Dylan was playing good, and Afro had a really, really tough weekend in general. And this series was one of them. So as you guys know, when you watch a lot of Fortress S&D, or if you played in rank play, again, really hard to lay this bomb. You got to kind of finesse these doors, especially at the pro level. People are really good at playing sniper on inner, like finessing outer. There's a lot of mental mind games going on here. But on the Rocker end, they're trying to play for bottom art. And we didn't show it in these previous rounds, but Afro lost a lot of gunfights to Hydra bottom art at points during this map. So I think they were a little bit shook about someone from New York getting into their top and bottom of art. But here, when we get to this situation, once the nades are down, I feel like Rocker waits so long to lay this bomb after most of the nades come out. And they get in a position where you wait so long, the guy gets killed off a bomb, or you get an unadvantageous situation where you can't lay the bomb anymore. And now you don't really have time to make a play here.
Yeah. Fair.
So Dylan, unfortunately, didn't get that pick by P1 and now gets pushed out. Yeah. And now, because they didn't lay the bomb, there's 20 seconds left and Dylan died. Now they're fucked because they're in art. It's over. They've got pinched. GG. Round go next series.
Yeah. I mean, someone asked if it's a part of like waiting for Deddy. Personally, in Fortress, I don't think dead silence really matters in the sense of like putting the bomb down. It has nothing to do. Like you, the only way you put the bomb down is by crossing to the bomb. So like, dead silence isn't gonna get you to the bomb safely anyway. So like it does, like the only thing that I would say is like, yeah, like they're probably, it looks like they're a little shook of like letting Hydra go crazy in art or some shit. But at the end of the day, like you're on offense. They were just hoping to catch New York getting antsy, and they never did. And then by the time they actually tried to make a play, like basically like right now, I know Hydra gets the first blood left side, but like right now, if they kill you off the bomb with 20 seconds left, you basically lose because you like have to plant the bomb now. So it's like you're about to be, once you're planting the bomb, you're out of the play for 5 seconds. If it's a 3v4, it's now a 2v4 with 10 seconds left, like 15 seconds left. Like you're obviously, they're going to push the bomb and probably kill you. So it's like, I mean, it was just tough. I think Minnesota like tried to make the big brain play of like catching one of them getting like antsy and art and something, and they didn't fall for it. And like at the end of the day, New York didn't really do much either, but New York didn't have to, So it was like different. New York's in the scenario where it's like we're just gonna wait for you to cross the bomb, and you never did it. So that was just tough.
Yeah, I mean, to speak to getting bombed down on this map at that site, offenses win bomb down situations 65-ish% of the time.
That makes sense. Mhm.
And so if you're trying to make the win percentage play again, get the rock down. If you can do it 4v4, bro, the head glitches on the back of this map are insane on that truck, the
Yep.
forklift, all that stuff. Like you can play a lot of numbers and get trades, finesse around top art, like all this shit. If you
Yeah.
really want to back up and get this. But yeah, no, they just did the do nothing offense, and what was a very winnable series for Rocker. We see round 11, game 5, like this is where people ice up. They did not. And this is like again with Rocker, they're like the hardest team right now for me to know if they're good or not, because they're clearly decent enough to make deep runs at events. They got a really good placing um at the last event, and just like Toronto, the only teams they lost to uh at the major were you guys and Thieves. So they lost to team 1 and team 2.
Mhm.
Like they beat OpTic, they beat New York.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, Bance is playing really well. Afro's playing really well. Dylan's doing his thing. Cammy's still kind of figuring it out. They finally got a decent weekend from Cammy. And then the two subs didn't have a good one. They went 0-2. And the difficulty for them now is they've got OpTic, Vegas, and Thieves left. Seattle, who we haven't talked about, won this weekend. Vegas is 1-1. There's a lot of competition for that 7th and 8th spot, probably in the qualifiers. And there's a world now where by going 0-2, Rockers are going to have to hustle here to make winners bracket.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The thing with Rocker, I guess, if you're just like keeping it realistic with them, I do think they're a good team. Like, I think they can compete. I think they've showed that they can compete, the whole thing. The thing with them, I guess, that's a little like, like Bance was frying at fucking Major 2.
The top KD at one point, like Saturday morning.
That's what I mean. And personally, the Bance's play style for me, I think Bance is a winner in the sense, like, I think he plays to win. I think when he plays well, you normally win. Like, I think the way Bance plays, if he's frying, that's a scary team. The way he plays, he is not a kill whore. He's in very, very, like, game-winning, like, play scenarios all the time. And if he is frying you, it's a tough team no matter what team he's on. And this Rocker team is obviously one of them. So I think a lot of this Rocker team does rely on how well their subs are playing. And again, whether it's Bance or Afro, it's like they have a lot of pressure on them to really, really open up the map for their team. And like, I guess that goes for every single sub. But when they were playing, what would you say that Major 2 so far was like their best showing? Bance was absolutely dominating, right? So it's like that either means like, there's a lot of pressure on Bance, which I don't think that's fair for him. So they probably have to tighten up some stuff like in their camp of like, like just to make things more consistent where like it's not relying on that. But yeah, like it's definitely going to be hard if that's like what you're relying on with them. So I think they just need to find a little bit more consistency in like their gameplay without that. And I think they're capable of that. They have a very smart team and all that other stuff. So we'll see. I do think they can compete though. I think they're fine. A slow start, but I think they can regain. But again, they have to like tighten up a little bit here and there, probably on some stuff.
They're just again, because of the possibility that a bunch of other teams got better over the last week and a half, because that's how things work. The margins are so thin in the middle of this with the mid pack of teams. Like they could follow up that good placing in Major 2 with an absolute stinker in Major 3, and then I don't know how you feel then about your team at that point. So they're on the watch list once again in terms of how they're going to do the next 2 weeks because of that schedule. So let's see what happens. I think that's all on the teams. Is there any other teams that you want to talk about?
Seattle.
Well, we think we're Seattle. Won a search online finally.
They did it. They did it.
And we did it, Joe.
They did it.
Joe. And it was a convincing one, by the way. It was on a hotel against Rocker, and they won 6 or 7 rounds.
They won that shit, bro. They won that search, bro. And that could be the one. That could be the one. We were talking about it last episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes all it takes is not a 6'5" grueler. And that was a good S&D. That could be the one that gets their confidence flowing a little bit more. And we can start seeing Seattle come to life. So, I don't know. I think I just want to talk about Seattle because I think they're obviously having such a poor Major 2 placing, and they were struggling and all this other stuff. A lot of people are counting them out, and we had a whole talk about them last episode. I just think that series right there, I think they're always going to be a pretty good respawn team no matter what. That could be the one S&D that puts them over the edge of like, not going on a crazy S&D streak, but like starting to split the S&Ds again and starting to play more respectable S&Ds and like getting their confidence flowing. And I think if Seattle starts to wake up a little bit, I think they could can be there. So I'm happy. I like Seattle. I like the players on Seattle. I like the coaching staff. I like those guys. So I'm happy that they're starting off a little bit better this time. And I hope they continue. You have anything to say? Yeah, what do you think?
Dante in a substitute role won a Call of Duty champs with you guys, so he's got that in his bag.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, no, dude, Dante's a good dude, but even like, to be honest, like throughout that year with Dante, like he didn't have to do much in Cold War, rightfully so. We were playing pretty well, but freaking Dante, like even like towards the end, was like way more into our team, like the last like major, and then like in a sense, like in the dugout, like he was like, you know, gassing the players up a little bit. He was like more into it, like, you know, he was much more a part of that team than he needed to be as a sub on that roster, you know. And like I had a lot of faith in him. I know that year specifically, I was saying like, you know, if anyone ever got sick or hurt on the team, I was more like, I thought Dante's nasty. I always have. I think he's very talented. So I hope they I hope this Seattle team wakes up a little bit and starts playing to like more of their potential, and they can start being like, you know, where they want to be again. Because they're a fun team to watch, and I don't know. I'm just happy. So hopefully they keep it. I'm telling you, that could be the one, chat. That's all I'm saying. That could be the one. Sometimes all that takes. That's all it takes right there. So we'll see.
I mean, it could be the one. They have to play Thieves, Florida, London, and New York. So like they again. This goes back to the rocker thing. Seattle could. I see 3 wins for Seattle. 2 wins at minimum, 3 wins with that schedule. Like they may end up with a top seed this event. And in classic Seattle fashion, we're now on the part of the roller coaster that's going back up. This is a big thing with them last year. They get top 12 and then they would have another good event. This year, you know, they came up just short at major 1, and then at major 2 they had the stinky getting dead last. So they're due, I guess, to have a good one. Yeah. And by the way, to the Dante thing, because I talked to him about this like on stream, he just said that watching you guys win Cold War in that year, because keep in mind he was playing for a Challengers team at the time with Tom, and actually with his current coach Sam Phoenix.
Yep.
Learned a lot of lessons from the culture that you guys set on your squad, and tried to bring some of those lessons to that Seattle team last year when they first formed.
Did he say that? When he say that?
I was talking to him about it. I think Tom and I were talking to him about it. It was last year at some point. I don't remember when it was. It was at some point on stream.
Yeah, no, he's come a long way. I feel like he's grown up a little bit, you know, like quite a bit. And like I still think obviously like the older he gets and the more experienced he gets, I think the better and better he'll become. You know, I don't work with him on a day-to-day basis and anything, but I think he's come a long way from how young he was, and like, you know, like how he was, like, you know, mentality-wise. And it's cool to see if anything that we did during that year, because that year was obviously very good for us, rubbed off and, you know, like helped him out in any way. Like I think that's like the point. I think a big thing again, which I always say this about him, like the last half of that year, he was way more into being a sub on the team than he was in the first half of the year. You know what I mean? And you can see that he was like really locked in, even like at the last 2 events of just behind the scenes stuff. Just like, you know, he was in the room when he didn't need to be, right? When we were warm up scrimming and shit, like he could have been off doing his own fucking thing if he wanted to, because he was chilling, but like he was in the room, like, you know, like just eyeing shit and stuff. So like, yeah, I think he's, I have a lot of faith in Dante, and that's why I'm happy that this Seattle team's starting to play a little bit better. I hope they keep it up. So
yeah, cool, I agree. And they also have a weird, just to blast on Seattle, is they're the only team that's got this weird problem where everybody in the community is like, oh, half your team's going to OpTic next season. So they've got all this external BS around them about their team from OpTic fans that are trying to like live out. Oh, and it's not to diss on the fans when I say this, it's just like people trying to think 2 or 3 steps ahead on what OpTic might do if their team struggles or not struggles or whatever. And they're sort of dealing with all of that chatter around them, which I'm sure is not easy to deal with.
So, yeah, I get that. I don't know. Like, I hate social media, bro. Like, you know my thoughts on it. We've talked about this a bunch. Like, as a player and shit, like, that shit is just all fucking noise. I know there are people that are better at dealing with it than others. You know, like, that's just all a bunch of noise. Like, the only thing that they can do, like, with all that bullshit is just ignore it and, like, focus on, you know, the day-to-day grind. You know, like, I know I think I said it last episode of being, like, present in the process type of thing, but, like, it really is true. Like, I don't know. That shit's a bunch of bullshit, bro. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we talk about this shit, too, but, like, that's the point of creating content, is to talk about that shit. But as, like, a player and, like, even as a coach, bro, before we won Major 2, I was the worst coach of all time. And now we won Major 2 and people like me again. Like,
now you're
dude,
chilling,
like,
bro.
that's what I mean. I'm telling you, like, even like my own perspective, like, yeah, like, you create content and you talk about shit, and like some people are a lot more harsh and they have their more opinions and all that stuff, and like other shows and even our show and shit, whatever. But like, yeah, no, as like a player and stuff, like, yeah, you gotta fucking, you know, try and drown out that noise as much as possible. I don't think that affects them as much as people think it does, to be honest. Like, I just think like they had a poor performance and they're fine.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And just to answer the people in the chat there, talking about this
What?
Tip and Pred thing, the OpTic thing. The reason that I end up talking about it a bunch is because I try not to talk about it, and then people come on my stream, my YouTube comments saying, talk about this. And like, I'm not gonna, like, you know what I mean? And I end up in this fucking vicious
What do you
cycle.
mean?
This is the problem with those transfer drama stuff is that
No.
people want that thing to live out. So then they come in and talk to the creators about their thoughts on it. And now
Bro.
it's just this whole fucking cyclical thing.
You are a fucking content creator, Ben. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why you're even entertaining people that are saying that about that in the chat right now about you. Bro, you're a
probably
content creator. Even like doing this for me takes a lot just
Yeah.
because, again, like I kind of have to walk a line on certain topics here with like, you know, the gameplay and shit. And then like, I want to do as much content as possible because content is what grows your brand and, you know, it's stability in the future. And like, everyone knows I love being a content creator and all that shit. But you know what I mean? Like, that's like one of my dreams. But with that being said, like when you're tied to an organization and you're a player, it's more noise than it is not noise because you have to focus on, again, I have to focus on, I don't give a fuck. Ben J Nissim _ is in my chat. Fucking, I don't care what Ben J Nissim _ no offense to you, it's just a hypothetical here. Has to think about my fucking coaching, right? That doesn't fucking matter. So I have to focus on my own shit. But obviously I have to do my own content too and like continue to grow my brand because that's like one of my dreams. But with you, I don't know why you're entertaining that because you are literally supposed to talk about that shit, bro. You're not a part of the CDL at that. Like, that's the whole point of like you. So yeah, bro, you're supposed to talk about that shit, and then it's the players' jobs and shit to probably not read it. You know, like that. So yeah, you shouldn't be offended by that, bro. Like, being bro,
Anyway.
your job is to literally make content on that. It's fucking faded.
Yeah, anyway, we can move on. I think that's it on teams. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Teams, we talked about a lot of the matches coming up. We talked about all the other insular stuff. I think we could take some time over the next like 10, 15 minutes, maybe answer some questions. I know there were a few ones that people in the chat while we were doing the show. If you want to repost those, because I saw a couple of really good ones.
We got time,
in the meantime, while people get their questions in, because people have been asking during the show how you're going to be able to listen to this on audio. This is a quick update. We do have an anchor.fm page now. So I'll put the link in the chat, anchor.fm/scrap time. We are now on Apple Podcasts. That got taken care of over this weekend.
What's anchor.fm?
And Spotify. It's just a quick way to go if you want to see where the podcast is on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, but you can also just listen to it from that page. It just it helps us distribute the podcast. So we're in most spots. We're in most spots. I'm waiting for Google Podcasts to approve us. I'm waiting for Amazon Music and Stitcher. So those will all be on the anchor.fm page once they're on, but you can go there with the RSS feed, links to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff.
Nice, dude. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, I know we had it on Spotify, but yeah, you're so much better with the fucking podcast stuff than I am with that. But yeah,
so I saw one question earlier that I'll re-bring up, which is someone was asking about APAC challengers. And I think this comes back towards the like the sort of thing with Pred. It's like I'm gonna actually rephrase the question. So it's not just about APAC, it's other regions. Do you think that how do we solve this sort of issue right now or provide more support for the issue where a lot of these players that want to make that path to pro have to come to NA and play NA challengers in order to get noticed by some teams?
How do you fix that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I have some ideas, but I'm curious about NA.
I mean, bro, that's just like that's such a loaded topic. Like, what are your ideas? And I'll chime in because like, it's like, what, like, here, you say your ideas first, I guess.
So I think probably, so first off, I don't think for people like in APAC in the Middle East, I don't necessarily think that you need to always travel to NA. Like we're seeing with the Team Falcon squad in the Middle East. That's King of Bodies team, Chris. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's one I 1v1 a bunch of guys.
I know that.
Like they're playing now with Pac, who's a EU pro, and Luti's coaching them, and they're living in the UK now. So like you can go to EU Challengers and fry a bunch of players who are subs in the league right now, went straight from EU Challengers to the league. There are players like Cruz, who is from APAC, who is now playing in NA and trying to get noticed. Like if you're a one-off player, it's really tricky. What I think might be a good solution is almost some kind of like grant or scholarship program for players in those underserved regions like LATAM and APAC and Middle East, and some kind of fund where those players can get sponsored for stuff like work visas or flights to be able to come over here. Not gonna be able to provide full, I think, like life support and salary and all that, but just to make some of the like harder stuff more possible. I think that some of that stuff could be brought here in order to help those folks be able to come here quickly. Like speaking to like the visa issue, I had this conversation with there's a player in EU called Abuza. He's a Belgian player. He's very, very talented. Might be one of the next kind of like takeover non-English speaker type players. But his issue right now, because I get this because my chat all the time, it's like, why has Abuza not been picked up by a CDL team? Because he's got like the best KD in the EU challengers. It's like, well, the issue is that at the end of the day, he doesn't have a visa to play in the US, right? So if you want to pick him up, it's going to be over a month until you can even legally have him play for your team, like in scrims, because that's technically working.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, he's not an English speaker. So now you got to get him over here. You got to get him settled in the US. So I think providing support around those moves would be a good start. But there's obviously a lot of capital required for people to make that move from one region to another.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like I just feel like that's just still like a lot of fucking. That's a lot for like to get that shit to happen. I mean, I feel like the system is just tough, and I also just feel like we're talking about like those challengers, like like the challenger stuff and all that. I still feel like NA challengers can still even be like slightly better. Like I don't know, like that's a pretty loaded fucking thing. I mean, I would love to see some of those players come over and again have better chances. And again, like I think like what you said, is probably like the best idea right now. I know there were some people in the chat that were saying like just do a bunch of fucking like leagues and then do global champs, like but yeah, it's just really fucking hard.
Chris, so Clover in the chat, who's one of my boys, said Pred and Hydra disagree. Here's the thing though about both those examples. Those are actually exactly supporting what we're talking about. Because Pred basically Seattle targeted in like spring of 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys know this, but like Seattle wanted to pick that guy up before the Cold War season was even over. And they started the process to get him over here. Because again, you guys, to your point about visas are not a 1 week thing. It takes, especially if you get a new visa,
it takes a
while.
multi-month.
It's potentially a 1 month plus process. And you got to get moved here. You got to get him set up. Paco was also the same thing with New York. There was a delay in terms of getting his paperwork over here. They had to get him settled. I don't even think that he was supposed to start for that team. The only reason that he came in the lineup is because Zuma had to retire due to the hand issue. So if anything, that supports the issue here, which is for these really talented players that are not from North America, how do we create a process that's where they can go through that 1 or 2 or 3 month acclimation period and help provide financial support so teams are willing to take that risk on a project like that?
Yeah, well, yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, yeah, because I think it's also, like teams just would have to be willing to take the risk on, like if you're using this Abuza guy as an example, because I know he's been playing well and I've heard his name a bunch, like, yeah, like if you're a team that wants to take a risk on this guy and like, maybe you struggle for now, but you get him on your roster and stuff a month or 2 later, like it would be worth it. It just depends on, it's like a long-term thing too, like and the way I view that is like, if I was like a GM and my team was really, really struggling and like I don't see a lot of options right now to pick up to like, change that, like you take like, again, it's a long season type thing. This is probably something that you kind of want to look into at the beginning of the season. I also feel like when the season starts, if you're pretty knowledgeable about Call of Duty, you kind of know what teams are going to like, perform. You kind of know the pros and cons of teams, and you can kind of see like, if this team does well, this is going to probably what's happened, but there's also a lot of variances that can cause this team to do really bad, right? And I feel like when you're in like a position where like you have a team that can do really bad, I feel like that's where you think like long term too. Like I don't know. I think that's like, again, being a good GM and thinking long term.
That was the Paco thing with New York. Listen,
that was a great
decisions over the years. But they've basically committed long term to Paco as a project, and he's a top 3, maybe top 1 player in this league right now.
That was a great move.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great move out of them. Same with Pride in Seattle. Like that was a good investment on their part. Obviously, I don't know if he's going to stick around, but I saw one more question before we dip, Chris. I think the OpTic guys addressed this, but no one from your camps addressed this.
What?
People have been wondering on the social medias and on Reddit, why your team has never scrimmed or doesn't scrim OpTic that much. I explained to people this is not just a this year issue. Like this is like going back to like Advanced Warfare, like OpTic and FaZe didn't scrim each other. You want to give people a little bit of a window as to why those teams don't, or your team doesn't play them as much over
Advanced
the years.
Warfare. Holy shit!
Yeah, no, I mean this goes way back. To
did FaZe and OpTic not scrim each other in Advanced Warfare?
Nope.
But what? But I mean, listen, that has nothing to do with scrims now. Like
no, but I'm saying it comes down to similar issues about connection and just their top teams, and you don't necessarily want to teach teams the game. I mean, I don't know how you feel about all of that. What Ant said when he was asked this question on his stream, I think it was Ant that addressed. I don't remember if it was Ant or Bruce.
Ant and Shotzi.
Yeah, Shotzi basically said one was just a server issue, right? You guys all play from Atlanta, they play from Dallas. Like, there's a little bit of a, whose host do we play on? Do we feel like we're getting bullshitted? And there's also the like, don't want to teach thing. Do you kind of agree with that assessment of all that?
So OpTic saying that they teach us how to play. Is that what he's saying?
No, not really. He's just saying like, well, one was mostly the connection thing, and two was also like just in general the sort of process that when this has come up before of, well, when you're playing another top team, like, what's the benefit to us in those situations?
Well, playing a top team usually leads to getting good practice, which usually leads to getting better. Like, we scrim LA Thieves a lot, and they scrim us, and I feel like, I mean, I guess from my point of view, playing a top team is good for the most part. Like, unless you truly feel like you were teaching them how to play the game, where like the other team is fucking ass, or like maybe. But and the connection thing, like, I don't know. We've scrimmed OpTic a few times this year. I don't think a lot, like in like actual scrims. But the connection thing too, like, my players get annoyed at me for saying this shit, but like, I don't give a fuck about the connection thing, bro. We can scrim.
You've been saying that since you're a player, bro.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, because the way I view scrims is like, we can scrim on, because like even in Cold War, we used to scrim where teams would quad, like before like servers and shit, people would like quad host in Dallas on us all the time in Cold War, and like we would play like, if we lose, like if you're quad hosting on Dallas and we're playing from Atlanta and you're winning maps by like 20, 30 points, like I'm not that mad at my team, and if we're winning maps, then it's a good thing. But like, obviously people don't want to play at advantage too. I don't know. I mean, we've scrimmed Texas a couple times this year, and like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really give a fuck if we scrim them or not. Like, there's no, like, from my point of view, I just don't think it's a big deal. Like, I don't think they're teaching us how to play, and I don't think like we're teaching, like, I mean, that's a little fucking ridiculous if that's what like you're saying. I'm assuming that's not what he said, because people are saying Ben's capping. So like, I was trying to pair. Yeah, so I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do this. So yeah, like, yeah, bro, I'm not against scrimming OpTic at all. Like, I know, to give you just the transparency of the few times we have scrimmed them, like, yeah, we can never decide on a host that like works well. Like, I remember like, talking to Rambo saying like, we're gonna do this host, and then like that host didn't work well. This is like I think like a couple months ago, maybe even like last year, I don't remember. And then like, we were like, all right, so we can just play on Dallas or whatever. And then we played on Dallas, we played like a map, and like, they were like, never mind, like, this is stupid because like, whatever. But like, the map was close. I don't even know if we won the map or not. But like, I don't know. Like, I'm really not against scrimming OpTic, to be honest with you. The only thing I would say is, previously, they're not, I can't speak on personal shit now because we haven't scrimmed them too much. They used to be annoying to scrim because they used to be fucking late all the time. Like in Black Ops 4, everyone knows the fucking drama that happened at Black Ops 4 when I was on 100 Thieves, when they were late and then we left. Whatever. Boot camp drama, like, here we go. That shit was annoying. But like, now I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Like, server issues wise,
completely
like,
different team though. That was with Porter and TJ on the
team, servers issues wise. Yeah. Every time my team, like my players know this, every time my players can complain about internet, I usually tell them to shut the fuck up. Like, no, seriously, like, bro, if you lose maps by 70, 80 points, it's not an internet thing. And if you, so it's like, I don't really care about server issues anyway. So again, like, I think that's like blown out of proportion too. I feel like we just don't scrim them a lot, but we have scrimmed them plenty of time. Like, we scrimmed them, I'm pretty sure they warmed us up on LAN one day, if I'm not mistaken, and like, we've scrimmed them a couple times. Like, they've warmed us up for matches and shit too. But again, like, yeah, like the server issues, like, I'm I don't know. I think that shit's still blown out of proportion. We'll scrim them whenever. Like, I don't care. But there has been, like, usually the reason why we haven't scrimmed too much is every time we do, there's some server bullshit. I don't know. And it's just cap. No, we don't. He's not capping. We don't scrim OpTic a lot. But from my point of view, like, again, back in the day, it used to be annoying because they were late all the time. Now, we just don't really scrim that much. So, like, whatever. You consider OpTic a top team? Yes, absolutely. What? I say that shit all the time here.
Definitely a good team, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't mind. That's what I mean. Like, I don't mind. I just feel like we just don't end up scrimming them too much anymore. But again, like, it's not like some weird thing. People just like love making shit up.
Yeah, this is like again, I brought this up because it was a couple of threads on Reddit and on social media. So I was like,
has that been a big thing on Reddit right now? Randomly, like now?
They were bothering OpTic people about it, and then
wait, why?
And obviously took the bait about it. Well, because people were just curious. They were just curious.
What were they asking? Like if we script? I mean,
they were asking you. They were asking the OpTic guys, and then they responded, and then it's whole thing. They didn't let us slip on stream, is what Jamie James is saying.
Ghosty. What the fuck does he have to say about this?
I remember the context. No, I remember the context, chat. If you remember, I think what it was Dan was saying that when he joined the team, that apparently one of the rules is that you guys don't scrim them. It's chat. Am I correct? I believe that was the clip. That's how this all started.
That's a rule? I didn't know it was a rule.
I don't know if he was joking or not. Like if that was just like a hot.
So there you go. There's your answer. The OpTic rule is they don't scrim us then. I don't fucking know. Like what? Bro, it's a fucking team scrim online. Like practice and get better or shut the fuck up. Not to them. I'm saying like to my team too. Like, bro, I've had to like, you know, say like, bro, like the whole online thing is like annoying to hear. Just like practice and call out. Like, I don't know. I didn't know that was a rule. I don't think we have a rule.
I think they were just having fun, bro. Like,
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. I was like, I don't fucking know, bro. Like, what? Like,
they're just having fun.
So they're having fun, yeah. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like more people are more invested into that like narrative than like the players themselves.
No,
like we don't get on and say like, oh fuck, don't do this. Like, no one really cares that much. It's not that deep, bro.
Anyway, I think we should end it there. That was a great episode. Finally, we did one of these after the matches, so I think the flow of this is good. Chat, let us know like sort of your feedback either on Twitter or when the YouTube VOD goes up. We're on audio now, obviously. We'll plug all the socials when this gets posted. Next week, I'll be doing the show from Atlanta in the morning, so you'll see a different background. Also, I won't have hair on that show, assuming everything goes well, and assuming the MC doesn't mess up my head. I'll be very pissed if he does.
We already talked about that shit, Bloomster. So yeah, you can go back and watch if you would like to. Yeah, dude, thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, everything that Ben just said, it'll be everywhere that you need to be. I know the one thing before we end this, timestamps have been a little bit like iffy. The only reason why is because we're trying to get this out on YouTube as fast as possible. And then timestamps kind of come along with them. We're going to try and get timestamps obviously out when the video comes out too. So I'm going to try and do that on my own too. It's like timestamp it for our editor and stuff. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Scrap Time and all that good stuff. It was a pretty fun one to talk about. Ben, you're going to golf, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, we have 5 gifted on this, bro. 92 or higher. I didn't forget about that.
I will keep you posted.
All right.
On Twitter, I'm going to say that like when I take a picture of the round, I'll be like I'm on like a little bit of a wager with you on
so keep it updated.
And I'm gonna try and stream maybe a couple of holes. The problem is, of course, we're playing as body cell reception, so IRL streams a little iffy with that. So I'm gonna try if I can.
Yeah. All right. Well, sweet, Ben. So you're not going live then, right? I think I'm gonna stay on for a little bit too.
No. I'm gonna dip now.
Okay.
It was good. Good hopping on, Chris. I will speak with you later, my dude.
All right. Later, boss.
Peace.
Peace.